Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Ah, every time this is happening. Okay, let me know if the voice is there now. I hope it should be. Hare Krishna, audible now. Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. Otherwise, it would have been a dumb charades lecture. Okay, so, so all those prayers we couldn't hear. Huh? All right, so today's topic is a very interesting one, a debate between infant Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his mother Sachi Mata. And this we are reading from Ādi Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 14, text 23 onwards. তবে কত দিনে কইল পদচংক্রমণ শিশুগণে মিলি কইল বিবিধ খেলন. After some days, the Lord began to move his legs and walk. He mixed with other children and exhibited various sports. Now, before this, he, in the pretext of crying, he made the ladies chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the elderly ladies. They chanted Hare Krishna because he was crying, and when he would cry, they chant Hare Krishna, then he would stop. When they stopped chanting Hare Krishna, he would start crying again. So in this way, to keep him not crying, and when they chant, he smiles. So to see him smiling and stop his crying, they used to always chant the Hare Krishna. And therefore, Krandera Chale, Bolaila Harinam. Chale means by deception, by excuse, by device, in the pretense, you see, in the pretense of, on the pretense of. So, in this way, he used to make them chant. So, this is then the next pastime is that, after some days, the Lord began to move his legs and walk. He mixed with other children and exhibited various sports. Now, this appears very ordinary because every child goes through these stages. But then he does other things as he is mixing with humans. He is doing other things which are not possible for humans. एक दिन सची खाए संदेश आनिया बाटा भरे दिया बैलो खाओ तब बसिया. One day, while the Lord was enjoying his playful sports with the other little children, Mother Sachi brought a dish filled with fused rice and sweetmeats and asked the child to sit down and eat them. Eta bali gela Sachi grihe karma karite, lukaya lagila shishum mrittika khaite. Mrittika, dirt. But when she returned to her household duties, the child hid from his mother and began to eat dirt. So this is something like what Krishna has done. He also ate dirt, and then later he showed the entire universe within his mouth to Yashoda, Mother Yashoda. But in the case of Śacīmātā, he starts a debate. देखी शची धाया आयला करे हाय हाय माटी काढ़ी लया कहे माटी केने खाए. Seeing this, Mother Sachi hastily returned and exclaimed, "What is this? What is this?" She snatched the dirt from the hands of the Lord and inquired why he was eating it. কান্দিয়া বলে না শিশু কেনে কর রোষ তুমি মাটি খাইতে দিলে মোর কি বা দোষ. Crying, the child inquired from his mother, "Why are you angry? You have already given me dirt to eat. What is my fault?" খাই সন্দেশ অন্ন যতেক মাটির विकार एहो माटी शेह माटी की भेद विचार. एहो माटी शेह माटी. Fused rice, sweetmeats, and all other eatables are but transformations of dirt. This is dirt, that is dirt. Please consider what is the difference between them. Eho mati seho mati. माटी देहो माटी भक्ष देखन विचारी अविचारे देहो दोष की बोलिते पारी. This body is a transformation of dirt. Small infant, big philosophy is speaking. This body is a transformation of dirt, and the eatables are also a transformation of dirt. Please reflect upon this. You are blaming me without consideration. What can I say? Purport. This is an explanation of the mayavada philosophy, which takes everything to be one. The necessities of the body, namely eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, are all unnecessary in spiritual life. When one is elevated to the spiritual platform, there are no more bodily necessities, and in activities pertaining to the bodily necessities, there are no spiritual considerations. So, when one is elevated in spiritual platform, there are no bodily necessities, and in the activities of bodily necessities, there is no spiritual considerations. So, in other words, the more we eat, sleep, have sex, and try to defend ourselves, the more we engage in material activities. Unfortunately, Mayavadi philosophers consider devotional activities to be bodily activities. They cannot understand the simple explanation in the Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mam cha yovyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Anyone who engages in spiritual devotional service without motivation, rendering such service for the satisfaction of the Lord, is elevated immediately to the spiritual platform and all his activities are spiritual. Sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, this is how one is elevated to the spiritual platform just by his engagement in Krishna consciousness service. Brahma bhuyaya refers to Brahman or spiritual activities. Although Mayavadi philosophers are very eager to merge into the Brahman effulgence, they have no Brahman activities. To a certain extent, they recommend Brahman activities, which for them means engagement in the studying the Vedanta and Sankhya philosophies, but their interpretations are but dry speculation. Lacking the varieties of spiritual activity, they cannot stay for long on the platform of simply studying Vedanta or Sankhya philosophy. Life is meant for varieties of enjoyment. So we're not denying variety of enjoyment. That is to be spiritually done, not materially. The living entity is by nature full of an enjoying spirit, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12. Anandamayo dāsat. In devotional service, the activities are variegated and full of enjoyment. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.2, all devotional activities are easy to perform, susukham kartum, and are eternal and spiritual, avyayam. Since Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this, they take it for granted that a devotee's activities, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, etc., as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23, are all material and are therefore Maya. They also consider Krishna's advent in this universe and his activities to be Maya. Therefore, because they consider everything Maya, they are known as Mayavadis. Actually, any activities performed favorably for the satisfaction of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master are spiritual. But for a person to disregard the order of the spiritual master and act by concoction, accepting his nonsensical activities to be spiritual, is Maya. One must achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, one must first please the spiritual master, and if he is pleased, then we should understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also pleased. But if the spiritual master is displeased by our actions, they are not spiritual. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms this. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Activities that please the spiritual master must be considered spiritual, and they should be accepted as satisfying to the Lord. Easy, very easy to understand. Now, Today, how to understand whether Prabhupada is pleased with what I'm doing? Well, Prabhupada said, you follow my instructions. I have said certain things. Do these things. Do them, and you will satisfy me. It's very simple. You just have to follow what his instructions are. If he asks us to do something, and then if we do that, why wouldn't he pleased? Why wouldn't he be pleased? And also to have a more tangible what is that affirmation on whether um, we are pleasing Srila Prabhupada, we have to consult the Shiksha Gurus who are preaching on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. They will present what Prabhupada wanted. Of course, they have to be very sincere disciples of Prabhupada. Otherwise, they will also misrepresent Prabhupada's teachings, which is what is unfortunately happening right now in ISKCON. They are, misinforming the devotee community about the intentions and order of Srila Prabhupada, especially regarding initiations. And because that is compromised, the whole unity of the movement is compromised, and there is huge um, slackening of the standards of the preaching movement. And untold sins and offenses have been committed in the movement because of such a neglect. And Krishna is not pleased with that. The philosophy of the Mayavadis is defective. So, sorry. Lord Chaitanya Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a supreme spiritual master, instructed his mother about the Mayavada philosophy. By saying that the body is dirt and eatables are also dirt, he implied that everything is Maya. This is Mayavad philosophy. The philosophy of the Mayavadis is defective because it maintains that everything is Maya, but the nonsense they speak. Prabhupada is roasting them. He's saying the philosophy of the Mayavadis is defective because it maintains that everything is Maya, but the nonsense they speak. Means whatever they're speaking is not Maya, but everything else is Maya. But actually, the fact is, what they're speaking is Maya, and everything is not Maya. I mean, Maya is there, yes, but we are not Maya. Maya is Krishna's energy. While saying that everything is Maya, the Mayavadi philosopher loses the opportunity of devotional service, and therefore his life is doomed. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Hoy Sarvanash. Madhya 6.169. If one accepts the Mayavad philosophy, his advancement is doomed forever. So, Ehomati Shehomati, this philosophy that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, is also what Mayavadis say. Um, you know, the clay is unmanifest. It doesn't have a form. It doesn't have a shape. Nothing. And then when it's made into a pot, now it is a pot for a while, but then in the end it is again mixed back into clay and it becomes clay again. So it was clay, it is now clay, and then later it will be clay. It is just clay. So all clay and pot are same. But no, clay cannot hold water. Pot can. The same clay can be made into a brick, and the brick can be used to build buildings. But just clay on its own cannot be used for building buildings. So, or hold water or anything like that. So when it has a certain use, you just cannot say everything is, the same. If everything is the same, then our brain and our kidney is the same. You know. Nowadays, I have seen this phrase when people when people do some stupid things, you know, and usually when something is very touching, something touching performance, heart touching performance, they it touched the heart, it was very nice or something like that. So if it is so horrible, then they'll say, oh, such a kidney touching performance. So the point is, heart and kidney are not the same. Otherwise, heart touching performance and kidney touching performance wouldn't have made any difference. So kidney has a different function, heart has a different function. Now both may be muscles and tissue, and then ultimately when a body is cremated or burnt, they may turn into ashes or mix into the earth. Ultimately, yes, the body will come to such an end. But while it is there, while it is functioning, there are so many different parts in the body, right? And all have different names because of the different functions. Um, So we cannot say all are the same, especially when they are in that form. All have the different uses. Hmm? That is one thing. The other thing is ghatakash, patakash. The Mayavadis say the air is within the pot and the air outside the pot is all air. So the air that is within the pot is separated from the air that is outside because of that boundary of the pot, the clay pot. Now, when the clay pot is broken, the air inside will mix with the air outside and it's all air. So, the Parabrahma is the outside air, we are the confined air, and when our body is dismantled, our material existence is dismantled, then we will merge into the total air, which is the Parabrahman, and we become one with Brahman. So, this is their philosophy. But are we air or are we pots? No. So this is a stupid example, and even if you say there is, this air mixes with that air, the molecules, the oxygen molecules are still separate. How can you say it is all same? So anyway, it's very defective philosophy. We don't merge into the Supreme Lord. It doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't. We retain our individuality, no matter what. Whether we are conditioned or liberated. In liberated stage, just like Hanuman, he does not want to merge into Ram. That is hell for him. He wants to always serve Ram. If he merges into Ram, there's no service now. No, no, no. I want to be serving Ram always. No. So every devotee is like that. He doesn't want to merge into the Lord. Only mayavadis. So they will come up with this philosophy of ehomati shehomati. This is mud, that is mud. Actually, their brain is full of mud. Hmm. अंतरे विस्मित शची बोलिलो ताहारे माटी खाइते ज्ञान जोग के शिखाइल तोरे. She's saying, astonished that the child was speaking Mayavad philosophy, Mother Sachi replied, who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt? Vismita, surprised. Actually, she was. Smita means to smile. Vismita means, smiling quite um, prominently. So, Antare Vismita, smiling inside, surprised at the same time. Um, so, so in this way, she was speaking. You are talking dirt. So you are talking big philosophy to justify eating dirt. What is this? Then purport. In the philosophical discourse between the mother and the son, when the son said that everything is one, as impersonalists say, the mother replied, if everything is one, why do people in general not eat dirt but eat the food grains produced from the dirt? মাটির विकार अन्न খাইলে দেহ পুষ্টি হয় মাটি খাইলে রোগ হয় দেহ যায় ক্ষয়. Simple philosophy. So she said, replying to the mayavad idea of the child philosopher, Mother Sachi said, my dear boy, if we eat earth transformed into grain, our body is nourished and it becomes strong. But if we eat dirt in its crude state, the body becomes diseased instead of nourished and thus it is destroyed. মাটির विकार ঘটে পানি ভরি আনি মাটি পিণ্ডে ধরি জবে শোষি যায় পানি. In a water pot, which is a transformation of dirt, I can bring water very easily. But if I poured water on a lump of dirt, the lump would soak up the water and my labor would be useless. Uh, Purport. This simple philosophy propounded by Śacīmātā, even though she is a woman, can defeat the Mayavadi philosophers who speculate on oneness. And this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness philosophy. Even a child can defeat. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Even a child can defeat. And um, okay, we'll read this purport and then we will explain it. This simple philosophy propounded by Śacīmātā, even though she is a woman, can defeat the mayavada philosophers who speculate on oneness. The defect of mayavada philosophy is that it does not accept the variety that is useful for practical purposes. Sachi Mata gave the example that although an earthen pot and a lump of dirt are basically one, for practical purposes the water pot is useful whereas a lump of dirt is useless. Sometimes scientists argue that matter and spirit are one with no difference between them. Factually, in a higher sense, there is no difference between matter and spirit, but one should have the practical knowledge that matter, being an inferior state of existence, is useless for our spiritual blissful life, whereas spirit, being a finer state, is full of bliss. In this connection, the Bhagavatam gives the example that dirt and fire are practically one and the same. From the earth grow trees, and from their wood comes fire and smoke. Nevertheless, for heat, we can utilize the fire but not the earth. But not the earth, smoke, or wood. Therefore, for the ultimate realization of the goal of life, we are concerned with the fire of the spirit, not the dull wood or earth of matter. See how deep philosophy is there in a simple conversation between a mother and an infant. Hmm? Um, let's look at some verse here. श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे बालोऽपि यदनुग्रहात् तरेन्नानामतग्राह व्याप्तं सिद्धान्तसागरम्. I offer my obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even an ignorant child can swim across the ocean of conclusive truth, which is full of the crocodiles of various theories. So, um, see, such a simple philosophy, but it, you know, is higher than all the Vedanta study of the Mayavad philosophers, Mayavadis. You see? Uh, so, here it is said, very nice examples are given. Um, as we said, every part and everything. Yeah, this Bhagavatam verse. The fire and the smoke and the wood. I think there's this verse. One two 24. पार्थिवाद्दारुणो धूमस्तस्मादग्निस्त्रयीमयः तमसस्तु रजस्तस्मात् सत्त्वं यद्ब्रह्मदर्शनम्. Parthivat, Prithvi means earth. Parthivat means from earth. Darunah, firewood. Jagannath, Lord Jagannath is called Daru Brahma. Um, in Hindi, Daru means, I mean, alcohol. But Sanskrit, Darunah. Um, Daru means, in fact, Bengali, even Hindi also Daru means wood, but Daru, I think, is different matra. So, anyway, Darunah means firewood. Dhumah, smoke. Tasmat, Agnihi Trayimaya. Tamasastu Rajastasmat Sattvam Yad Brahma Darshanam. So, firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood. And fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion or rajas is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Oh. So, this is very nice explanation. So, the earth, smoke, what is it? Earth, firewood, smoke, and fire. So, in this way, the difference in the modes is explained. When you start a fire without fire, that means you rub, and with friction you start fire. In the beginning, in the bamboo, if you see, if you rub and if you do it right, first there will be smoke first. That is heralding the appearance of fire. So, mode of goodness is like that. Is just at the cusp of you know um, manifesting the fire. So, goodness is just at the cusp of spiritual realization. Vasudeva sthiti, which is Shuddha Sattva, uncontaminated by Rajas and Tamas. That is like the fire. Turiya, Turiya sthiti, fourth state. The three modes are the three states, and the fourth state, above the three modes, transcending the three modes, that is the Turiya sthiti, and that is compared to the fire. So, Krishna consciousness is the fire. Now, you may say, some people may, mayavadis may actually misinterpret this verse. You know how they would misinterpret? Parthiva daruno dhumas tasmad agnistrayimaya tamasastu rajas tasmad sattam yad brahma darshanam. Brahma means, actually it can be the absolute truth, or it can also be like we are also Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. But we are not supreme, we are not Parabrahma, but we are Brahma also. So Brahma means Brahma Bhuta. We are Brahma Bhuta. So the Jiva, the life, is Brahma Bhuta. Anything that is dead, like matter, that is not Brahma Bhuta or Jiva Bhuta. So life. So from this, they can say that from earth you get wood, from wood you get smoke, from that you get fire, and that is when Brahma Darshanam. That's when you see life. So life comes from matter. That way also it can be interpreted, right? This is the modern what is this Darwin theory and chemical evolution of life. So that it can be misinterpreted. So that's why we have to understand from Acharya. Tamasastu rajastasmat is not talking about life at all. It is talking about the three modes. And Brahma Darshanam means Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Um, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. And Prabhupada quoted in the purport, Mam Chayovya Bhicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samatitya Etan. Some Atitya. Atitya means to cross, to transcend. Sagunan Samatitya. Etan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. So that is Brahma Darshanam, Brahma Bhuyaya, transcending the three modes. So that is Sattvam Yad Brahma Darshanam in mode of pure goodness. Then we can perceive the absolute truth. So we cannot just screw our own meaning out of these verses. So that verse is alluded to here in this purport, 1 to 24. So in other words, you cannot say that this world is false when it is temporary. When we have a body, we cannot say this body is false, because with this body we can actually make good use of this body, because in human body we can actually regain our eternal life. Uh, Not in this body, but with the actions in this body we can regain our eternal life, the soul's eternal life. So if there is so much use in this body, why should I just reject it as, oh, just a lump of flesh? Those verses, like Shankaracharya's verse, Nari stana bharanabhidesham drishtva maga mohavesham etanmam savasadi vikaram um, vichintaya varam varam. What is that? Hmm? Oh, it's not here. Hmm. Nari stana bharanabhidesham. Okay. Nari stana bhara. Yeah. Manasi vichintaya varam varam. So manasi, yeah, that is the word. So this verse says that having seen the supposed beauty of a woman's heavy breasts and her thin waist, do not become agitated in illusion. For these attractive features are simply transformations of fat, flesh, and various other disgusting ingredients. You should consider this in your mind again and again. So these kinds of verses are there. Oh, this is just fat, flesh, and yeah, it is fat, flesh, and various other things. In order, when we are trying to get attracted to that, then we should remember their actual, what are we getting attracted to. But when they can be used in Krishna's service, we should also not reject that usage. Like for example, um, cars. Let's say cars. They are manufactured in a very ugra karma way. Ugra karma means very hard, horrible work with a lot of machines, a lot of you know factory. This whole, not only that is assembly in the factory, but even the raw material and everything, the manufacturing process of everything takes a lot of effort to just get together a car. Now, yeah, I mean, it is a huge waste of time if we spend our times constructing these vehicles and constructing roads for the vehicles, and then having traffic rules, having license procedures, and a slew of measures to make it happen. Great lengths. People go to great lengths to actually implement their ideas. But if you see Krishna's way of transport, the natural way of transport that Krishna gave us, people used to, you know, travel on horsebacks, on carts, um, elephants, donkeys, even bulls, bullock carts like this. Now you may say, what is the speed of that and what is the speed of this? Okay, speed may be higher, right? But what is the spiritually we became very slow, is it not? The spiritual speed is what we are concerned with. Materially we may go slow, but what is your point of going fast? What do you want to go fast for? What are you rushing for? So we don't have to construct huge, we did not have to construct huge machinery. Horse is already constructed by the Lord, right? You just have to learn how to ride it. Or have a simple cart which is not very difficult to make, and it will be pulled by the horse or the bullock, something like that. Just simple structures. Now you may say that is very simple, primitive, and all these words. But let's look at the other way. Such construction does not need huge factories and huge capitalist agendas, I mean, capitalist enterprises which thrive on exploitation of poor people. And I've explained this in another lecture where, manufacturing is outsourced to third world countries where the labor is cheap, and they are made to do horrible work there, excessive work, for us to enjoy on their broken backs. So that is not a very humane proposal. It's not. It may look nice to us, but those who are suffering, what about them? So, for example, even now they say EV, electric vehicles. The cobalt mining that is required for manufacturing of the batteries is mined in Africa, and such mining involves horrible conditions. Children are also working in those mines in dangerous um, settings with their parents. I mean, 5 years, 6 years old children even, and they're paid nothing almost. And that is how you can increase your profits, isn't it? Cheap manufacturing and you know make more profit. So in this way, is that better? You may say, oh, then we cannot go fast if we have animals only, and not other modes of transport. Fine, okay. So we're also not completely against, but use it in Krishna's service. Spiritually, they used to go fast. Materially, maybe slow, yeah. But what is the point of materially going fast and spiritually slow? Hmm. But now, the civilization has gone to a point of beyond return, and they have already, committed themselves so much to this setup of machines and ugra karma. This is called ugra karma. Ugra means horrible, excessive work, so much so that it saps the very. Now you may say, oh, it's not excessive. Nowadays, all robots and assembling. Okay, so you have to still how the sales team, the engineering team, everybody have to work very hard to get those units, the cars on time in the conveyor belt, ready for sales. And there has to be a sales team which has to marketing and all this. So many things have to be there, and everybody is working from day to from morning to night. What is happening to the time and human life? Instead of actually inquiring about our what is the worth of our life, we are just simply wasting it, maintaining the infrastructure that we have burdened ourselves with. Hmm. So this is it's not a very profitable situation. Actually, it's a very foolish civilization. They think they're advanced, they're not. They think that is primitive. Oh, these are all primitive, now we are very advanced. What is primitive? Something that is old, first, original. So they have this connotation of something bad. Primitive means I told this the other day lecture also. Old, new, modern. The word modern, how it became. It's a connotation of, oh, now it's more modern, and then it was all primitive and backward. Just because it is latest, it does not mean that it's the best. Not at all. Our philosophy is not at all the latest. Who is the oldest? Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram. The Supreme Lord we worship is the oldest. Anadir Adir Govinda. He is the origin of everything. And we are worshipping the oldest. We're worshipping the oldest scripture. We're worshipping the oldest religion. And that's what we stand for. If something is relevant, why should I just throw it saying that it's old? When has old become relevant or not relevant? Something that is useful is relevant. Even if it is new, if it is useless, what is the just because it happened yesterday, it is the most useful thing in the world? No. So modernity does not mean that it is useful or that it is more advanced than the past. Not at all. So anyway, my point is in the body, yeah, it's coming from dirt, becomes dirt. Dust thou art, dust thou become, something like that in the um, Bible also it is said. You come from dust and you go back to dust. So that is the body, of course. The soul does not. But now the thing is, within that time period between the dust and dust, when the body is there, it can be used for many purposes. But with the dust, I cannot make use of dust and advance spiritually. But with this body, human body especially, I can advance spiritually. So it is not exactly dust. It is giving me an opportunity, a window of opportunity, where I can make a complete solution to my material miseries. Ordinary dirt can't do that. So this is simple philosophy. Um, so when we want to enjoy something, then we should consider this kind of verses, which are where we are made of, our bodies are made of all these disgusting elements. But the same disgusting elements we are using in Krishna's service. We are worshipping the deity. We are touching the body of the Lord with this disgusting body, and we are chanting the holy name with this disgusting body. Why are they not disgusting then? Hmm. Why such activities are not disgusting? No, because that is of course the mercy of the Lord that He allows us to touch Him with our so-called material body. But actually, when we are serving Him, it will become spiritualized. Hmm. That is the whole point. When it is material, means that which is not used in the service of the Lord, that which is not related to the Lord. Related means it is not used in relation with the Lord. Everything is related with the Lord. But when it's not used in relation with the Lord, that is material. When it is used in relation with the Lord, that is spiritual. Hmm. So, likewise, everything, even so-called technology and everything, although they are manifesting this technology out of from Ugra Karma, We would see whatever how it can be used in Krishna's service and we will use it. While we condemn heavy spending of time, money, effort, and our whole human effort in this kind of chase of technological advancement, we might use their products to undo their um, what is that whatever troubles they have created. As I said already before, in martial arts, the more clever fighter should be the one who uses the other person's strength against him. So that is our thing. We are using that principle. We will use their thing in their so in the service of Krishna, everything has a use. Now live stream, this technology of live stream, yeah, it is allowing us to connect. So why should I deny that connection when it is there presented to me? Although it is presented out of ugra karma, whatever it is, if I can use that to serve Krishna, why not? But for myself, why should I endeavor? But people are already endeavoring anyway. They are not listening. They have created these things. Okay, then use that to, you know, propagate Krishna consciousness until a time comes where there's no need of live stream. Now you may say, oh, without live stream, how can we connect and how can the message be spread? My point is, if there was no live streams, if there were no social media, there would have been devotees in every single town and village. Everybody would be, can be introduced easily to Krishna consciousness. Now there is too much distractions. So traveling could have been done in different ways. Uh, Land, sea, yeah, it may be more arduous, but it could have been done. But you know, more importantly, even now we are able to travel at incredible speeds. But it is very difficult to move the people into Krishna consciousness because they're just not interested. They're slow spiritually. They're moving at incredible speeds materially, but spiritually they just halt. They came to a grinding halt. Manda, the population of Manda Sumanda Mataya, slow, so slow the snail is faster than them. That slow. Basically, they've come into a halt. So that's not how we should be. So anyway, this is the philosophy that's being discussed. That there is use. Water pot and dirt are not the same. So that's the point. आत्मलुकायते प्रभु बोलिला ताहारे आगे केनो इहा माता ना शिखाइले मोरे. The Lord replied to his mother, why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me this practical philosophy in the beginning? Purport. If from the beginning of life one is taught the Vaishnava philosophy of duality or variety, the monastic philosophy will not bother him very much. This is true. In reality, everything is an emanation from the Supreme Source, Janmadyasya Yataha. The original energy is exhibited in varieties, exactly as the sunshine. The original energy emanating from the sun uh, exhibits itself in variety as light and heat. The original energy emanating from the sun exhibits itself in variety as light and heat. One cannot say that light is heat or that heat is light, yet one cannot separate one from the other. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is Achintya Bheda Bheda, inconceivable non separation and distinction. Although there is an affinity between the two physical manifestations, light and heat, there is also a difference between them. Similarly, although the whole cosmic manifestation is the Lord's energy, the energy is nevertheless exhibited in varieties of manifestations. এ বেশে জানিলা আর মাটি না খাইব ক্ষুধা লাগে যেবে যবে তবে তোমার স্তন পিব. Now that I can understand this philosophy, no more shall I eat dirt. Whenever I am hungry, I shall suck your breast and drink your breast milk. So he came to the right conclusion. Now our bodies are also made of dirt, right? But then he said, I will drink milk from your breast. So that means and that milk he's not equating it to dirt. So in this way, he's teaching Mayavad philosophy and how to defeat the Mayavad philosophy he's teaching. See? So this is the debate between them. Eta bole jananira को लेते चढ़िया स्तनपान करे प्रभु ईशात हासिया. After saying this, the Lord, smiling slightly, climbed on the lap of his mother and sucked her breast. এই মতে নানা ছলে ঐশ্বর্য দেখায় বাল্য ভাব prakatiya paschat lukaye. Thus, under various excuses, the Lord exhibited his opulences as much as possible in his childhood, and later, after exhibiting such opulences, he hid himself. अतिथि विप्रेर अन्न खाइल तीन बार पाछे गुप्ते সেই विप्रे करिल निस्तार. What is the time? 8:35. Okay. Another maybe half an hour, then I have to stop it. On one occasion, the Lord ate the food of a Brahmana guest 3 times, and later, in confidence, the Lord delivered the Brahmana from material entanglement. Purport. The story of the deliverance of this Brahmana is as follows. A Brahmana who was touring all over the country, traveling from one place of pilgrimage to another, reached Navadvip and became a guest in the house of Jagannath Mishra. Jagannath Mishra gave him all ingredients for cooking, and the Brahmana prepared his food. When the Brahmana was offering the food to Lord Vishnu in meditation, child Nimai came before him and began to eat it. And because of this, the Brahmana thought the whole offering had been spoiled. Therefore, by the request of Jagannath Mishra, he cooked for a second time. But when he was meditating, the child again came before him and began to eat the food, again spoiling the offering. By the request of Jagannath Mishra, the Brahmana cooked for a third time, but for the third time, the Lord came before him and began to eat the food, although the child had been locked within a room and everyone was sleeping because it was late at night. The Brahmana was cooking from morning to night. Thus, thinking that on that day Lord Vishnu was not willing to accept his food and that he was therefore ordained to fast, the Brahmana became greatly agitated and cried aloud, "Hi, hi! What has been done? What has been done?" When the when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Brahmana in that agitated state, he told him, "Formerly I was the son of Mother Yashoda. At that time also you became a guest in the house of Nanda Maharaj, and I disturbed you in this way. I am very much pleased by your devotion, therefore I am eating the food you have prepared." Understanding the favor offered to him by the Lord, the Brahmana was greatly pleased and he was overwhelmed with love of Krishna. He was thankful to the Lord for he felt himself greatly fortunate. Then the Lord asked the Brahmana not to disclose the incident to anyone else. This pastime is very elaborately explained in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Ādi chapter 3. He asked the Brahmana not to disclose the incident, but now the whole world knows. That verse is there, no? उल्लङ्घित त्रिविधसीमसमातिशायि सम्भावनं परिव्रढिमस्वभावम् सम्भावनं तव परिव्रढिमस्वभावम् मायाबलेन भवतापि निगुह्यमानम् पश्यन्ति केचिदनिशं त्वदनन्यभावाः. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. He cannot hide from his devotees. And the devotees, once they see them, they will glorify. Just like Ramanujacharya, his guru asked him not to disclose his mantra to anyone, because if he discloses, he will go to hell. But if you chant this mantra, you will go to Vaikuntha. Then he went and disclosed to everybody. Oh, I have a secret. What is the secret? He went on the tower of the temple. Temple tower. Those days, temples were the tallest buildings in the city. Nowadays, money-making buildings are the tallest. So there you can see the consciousness of the people, which they consider as the highest. So anyway, from the tower, he began to shout, "Oh, I have a secret, a great secret I have." What is that? Oh, I have this mantra which you chant. If you chant, you go to Vaikuntha and no more rebirth. Oh wow, this we like. Yes, yes, please tell us what is the mantra. Om Namo Narayana. He shouted and everybody started chanting. Om Namo Narayana. Om Namo Narayana. Guru came to know, he called him. Come. What did you do? I asked you not to disclose to anyone, right? Huh? You want to go to hell? And he said, if I one person go to hell and if thousands of people go back to Vaikuntha, I think that's a better deal. instead of just me going to Vaikuntha and they rotting in hell. So I would rather take the punishment of going to hell, but let them go back to Vaikuntha. And the Guru understood his mistake. Wow, I never thought like this. So in that way, devotees are always glorifying. How much ever the Lord wants to keep himself hidden, devotee will glorify. Here, he told, don't tell anyone. No, don't disclose this to anyone. Whole world knows now. Now we are discussing. We are, enjoying these pastimes. This pastime is very elaborately explained, that too. Not briefly mentioned. Elaborately explained. So that is the position of the Lord. He cannot hide from the devotees, and devotees will spill the beans, as they say. So, Chaitanya Bhagavat Ādi chapter 3. चोरे लया गेलो प्रभु के बाहिरे पाइया तार स्कंधे चढ़ी आइला तारे भुलाइया. In his childhood, the Lord was taken away by two thieves outside his home. The Lord, however, got up on the shoulders of the thieves, and while they were thinking they were safely carrying the child to rob his ornaments, the Lord misled them, and thus instead of going to their own home, the thieves came back to the home of Jagannath Mishra. Purport. In his childhood, the Lord was profusely decorated with gold ornaments. Once upon a time, when the Lord was playing outside his house, two thieves passed on the street, saw the opportunity to rob him. Therefore, they took him on their shoulders, pleasing him by offering him some sweetmeats. The thieves thought they would carry the child to the forest and then kill him and take away the ornaments. Look at them. The Lord, however, expanded his illusory energy upon the thieves so much so that instead of carrying him to the forest, they came right back in the front of his house. When they came before his house, they became afraid because everyone from the house of Jagannath Mishra and all the inhabitants of that quarter were busy searching for the child. Therefore, the thieves, thinking it dangerous to remain, went away and left him. The child was brought within the house and given to Mother Sachi, who was in great anxiety, and she became satisfied. This incident is also very elaborately explained in the Ādi of Chaitanya Bhagavat, 3rd chapter. व्याधि छले जगदीश हिरण्य सदने विष्णु नैवेद्य खाइल एकादशी दिने. Pretending to be sick, the Lord asked some food from the house of Hiranya and Jagadish on the Ekadasi day. Purport. Chaitanya Bhagavat Ādi chapter 6 fully describes the Lord's accepting Vishnu Prasadam on the Ekadashi day at the house of Jagadish and Hiranya. Regular prasadam is offered to Lord Vishnu on Ekadashi because although fasting is recommended for devotees on Ekadashi, it is not recommended for Lord Vishnu. Once on Ekadashi in the house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit, there were arrangements for preparing special prasadam for Lord Vishnu, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked his father to go there to ask for the Vishnu prasadam because he was feeling sick. The house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit was situated about 2 miles from the house of Jagannath Mishra. Therefore, when Jagannath Mishra, on the request of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, came to ask Jagadish and Hiranya for the prasadam, they were a little astonished. How could the boy understand that special prasadam was being prepared for Lord Vishnu? They immediately concluded that Nimai must have supernatural mystic power. Otherwise, how could he understand that they were preparing special prasadam? Therefore, they immediately sent the food to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through his father, Jagannath Mishra. Nimai was feeling sick, but immediately after eating the Vishnu prasadam, he was cured, and he also distributed the prasadam among his playmates. So the powerful nature of Krishna prasadam is also described here. शिशु सब लये पाड़ा पड़सीर घरे चोरी करे द्रव्य खाए मारे बालकेरे. As usual for small children, he learned to play, and with his playmates he went to the houses of neighboring friends, stealing their eatables and eating them. Sometimes the children fought among themselves. Now, there were fights. So this all looks like ordinary children, right? So this is where he's very bewildering. He learned to play, and with the playmates, he went to the houses of neighboring friends, stealing their eatables. Now, He doesn't need to learn to play, but this is how he acts. शिशुशभ शची स्थाने कइल निवेदन सुनी शची पुत्रे किछु दिला ओलाहन. All the children lodged complaints with Śacīmātā about the lords fighting with them and stealing from the neighbors' houses. Therefore, sometimes she used to chastise or rebuke her son. Kene churi karo, kene marah shishure, kene par ghore jaha, kibana hi ghore. Śacīmātā said, why do you steal others' things? Why do you beat the other children? And why do you go inside others' houses? What do you not have in your own house? Purport. According to Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha 111 Srimad Bhagavatam or Vedanta Sutra, since creation, maintenance, and annihilation exist in the Supreme Absolute, whatever we find within this material world is already in the spiritual world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. How is he stealing and how is he fighting? It is not as a thief or an enemy, but as a friend in a loving condition. He steals as a child not because he is in want, but out of a natural instinct. In this material world, also, small children without enmity or bad will sometimes go to a neighboring house and steal, and sometimes they fight. Krishna also, like other children, did all these things in his childhood. Without the existence of the stealing propensity and fighting propensity in the spiritual world, they cannot exist here in this material world. The difference between the material and spiritual worlds is that stealing in the spiritual world is done in friendship and love, whereas fighting and stealing within this material world are executed on the basis of enmity and envy. Therefore, we should understand that in the spiritual world, all these activities exist, but there is no inebriety, whereas in the material world, all activities are full of miserable conditions. So, very nice purport, self explanatory. Um, in this way, he was, stealing. শুনি ক্রুদ্ধ হয়া প্রভু ঘর ভিতর যায়া ঘরে যত ভাণ্ড ছিল ফেলিল ভাঙ্গিয়া. Thus rebuked by his mother, the Lord would go in anger to a room and break all the pots within it. He was a tantrum boy. তবে সচি কোলে করে করাইলা সন্তোষ লজ্জিত হইলা প্রভু জানি নিজ দোষ. Then Sachi Mata would take her son on her lap and pacify him, and the Lord would be very much ashamed, admitting his faults. There is a nice description, purport. There is a nice description of the faults of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his childhood in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Ādi chapter 3, where it is said that as a child, the Lord used to steal all kinds of eatables from the house of neighboring friends. In some houses, he would steal milk and drink it, and others he would steal and eat prepared rice. Sometimes he would break cooking pots. If there were nothing to eat but there were small babies, the Lord would tease the babies and make them cry. Krishna also used to do this, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Sometimes a neighbor would complain to Sachi Mata, my child is very small, but your child puts water in his ears and makes him कभू मृदु हस्ते कैल माता के ताड़न माता के मूर्छिता देखी करो ये क्रंदन. Once the child Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised his mother with his soft hand, and his mother pretended to faint. Seeing this, the Lord began to cry. Nari gana kohe nari kelo deho ani tabe sustha hoibe na tomar janani. The neighboring ladies told him, dear child, please bring a coconut from somewhere and then your mother will be cured. Bahire jaya ani lena doi narikela dekhiya apurva hoilo vismita sakala. He then went outside the house and immediately brought 2 coconuts. All the ladies were astonished to see such wonderful activities. कभु शिशु संगे स्नान करेलो गंगाते कन्यागण आयला ताहा देवता पूजिते. Sometimes the Lord would go with other children to bathe in the Ganges, Ganga, and the neighboring girls would also come there to worship various demigods. Purport. According to the Vedic system, when small girls 10 or 12 years old would go to the bank of the Ganga to take their bath, they would especially worship Lord Shiva with prayers to get good husbands in the future. They especially wanted to get a husband like Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is very peaceful and at the same time most powerful. Formerly, therefore, small girls in Hindu families would worship Lord Shiva, especially in the month of Vaishakha, April, May. To take a bath in the Ganga is a great pleasure for everyone, not only for adults but for children also. गंगा स्नान करी पूजा करिते लागिला कन्यागण मध्ये प्रभु आसिया बसिला. When the girls engaged in worshipping the different demigods after bathing in the Ganga, the young Lord would come there and sit down among them. कन्या रे कहे आमा पूजा आमी कन्या रे कहे आमा पूजा आमी दिव वर गंगा दुर्गा दासी मोर महेश किंकर. Addressing the girls, the Lord would say, "Worship me, and I shall give you good husbands or give good benedictions. The Ganga and Goddess Durga are my maidservants. What to speak of other demigods, even Lord Shiva is my servant." Purport. There is a misconception about the Hindu religion among people who profess other religions, such as Christians and Muslims, who say that in the Hindu religion there are many gods. Actually, this is not a fact. God is one, but there are many other powerful living entities who are in charge of different departments of administration. They are called demigods. All the demigods are servants who carry out the orders of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disclosed this fact in his childhood. Out of ignorance, sometimes people worship the demigods to receive some particular boon, but actually one who becomes a devotee and worshipper of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to go to the demigods for any benediction because he obtains everything by the grace of the Supreme Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 7:20 and 28 therefore condemns such demigod worship. कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियताः स्वया. Only persons whose intelligence is lost and who are mad with lusty desires worship the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः. But persons who are afraid from all, sorry, but persons who are freed from all sinful activities and the duality of delusion engage themselves in worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with determination. Only the less intelligent worship the demigods for their various purposes. The most intelligent worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Sometimes we, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, are accused of not approving of the worship of demigods. But how can we approve of this when it is condemned by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna? How can we allow people to become foolish and hritagyan, bereft of intelligence? Our propaganda is simply meant to enable intelligent people to understand the distinction between matter and spirit and understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the whole spiritual identity. That is our mission. How could we mislead people into worshipping so-called gods and material bodies within this material world? Our position of not allowing worship of the many hundreds of demigods was confirmed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even in his childhood. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung in this connection, Anya Devashray Nai Tomare Kyahinu Bhai Ei Bhakti Paramakaran. To become a staunch, pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation, Ananya Bhag, one should not divert his attention to the worship of the demigod. Such control is a symptom of pure devotional service. So I'll just finish this pastime with the girls and I will just stop it there. आपने चंदन परे परे न फूलमाला नैवेद्य काढ़िया खाना संदेश चालक कला. Without the permission of the girls, the Lord would take the sandalwood pulp and smear it on his own body, put the flower garlands on his neck, and snatch and eat all the offerings of sweetmeats, rice, and bananas. Purport. According to the system of worship, when something is offered to deities outside one's home, it is generally not cooked food but raw rice, bananas, and sweetmeats. Out of his causeless mercy, the Lord would snatch the offerings from the girls and eat them, admonishing the girls not to worship the demigods but to worship him. This worship of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yajnaihi Sankirtana Prayair Yajantihi Sumedhasaha. One should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead who appears in this age of Kali with his associates as the Panchatattva. The Lord Himself and His associates Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Advaita Prabhu, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, and Srivas Thakur. In this age, an intelligent person worships the Panchatattva by the method of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and, if possible, distributing prasadam. Our Krishna consciousness movement is introducing this bona fide method of worship in the Western world. Its members are going from village to village and town to town with deities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, teaching people how to worship the Lord by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, offering prasadam and distributing prasadam to people in general. So, very nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada. क्रोध है कन्या गण कहे सुनो है निमाय ग्राम संबंधे हो तुम्हें आमा सबार भाई. All the girls became very angry at the Lord for his behavior. Dear Nimai, they told him, you are just like our brother in our village relationship. आमा सबाकार पक्षे इहा करिते ना जुजाय. आमा सबाकार पक्षे इहा करिते ना जुजाय. नालो न देवता सज्जन ना करो अन्याय. Therefore, it does not behoove you to act like this. Don't take our paraphernalia for worship of the demigods. Don't create a disturbance in this way. You see, he was not, like, oh, let them do, and then later on somehow I will tell. He was just like, no, you're not doing, and then I'm going to steal all your offerings. In that. प्रभु को है तोमा सभा के दिलो ए वर तोमा सबार भर्ता होवे परम सुंदर. The Lord replied, my dear sisters, I give you the benediction that your husbands will be very handsome. पंडित विदग्ध युवा धन धान्यवान सात सात पुत्र होवे चिरायु मतिमान. They will be learned, clever, and young, and possess abundant wealth and rice. Not only that, but you will each have 7 sons who will all live long lives and be very intelligent. You see what they will have? They'll be learned, that means they will have knowledge, they're clever, they're young, and possess abundant wealth and rice. This is how wealth is actually calculated. Not that they will have some iPhones or something like that. Generally, it is the purport. Generally, it is the ambition of a young girl to have a very handsome husband who is learned, clever, young, and rich. According to the Vedic culture, one is rich if he possesses a large stock of food grain and a very large number of animals. Dhanyena dhanavan gavaya dhanavan. Dhanyena dhanavan gavaya dhanavan. One is rich if he possesses food grain, cows, and bulls. See, this is what richness actually is. A girl also desires to have many children, especially sons, putra, who are very intelligent and long lived. Now, because society has deteriorated, there is propaganda to have 1 or 2 children and kill the rest by contraceptive methods. But the natural ambition of a girl is to possess not only more than 1 child, but at least half a dozen. Natural ambition of a girl is to possess at least half a dozen children. In exchange for the paraphernalia of worship, he usurped for himself Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sorry. In exchange for the paraphernalia of worship, he usurped for himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to bless the girls to fulfill all their ambitions and desires. One can easily become happy and obtain the material benefits of a good husband, wealth, food grain, and a number of nice children by worshipping Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas at an early age, it is not necessary for his devotees to follow him by also taking sannyas. One can stay a householder, but one must be a devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then one will be happy. With all the material opulences of a good home, good children, good mate, good wealth, and everything he desires. Therefore, the Shastras advise Yajnaihi Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumedhasaha 11.5.32 Srimad Bhagavatam. Every householder, therefore, who is actually intelligent should introduce the Sankirtan movement home to home and live peacefully in this life and go back to Godhead in the next. वरशुनि कन्या गणेर अंतरे संतोष, बाहिरे भर्त्सना करे करि मिथ्यारोष. Hearing this benediction from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the girls were inwardly very happy, but externally, as is natural for girls, they rebuked the Lord under the pretense of anger, as is natural for girls. So they are, since time immemorial, they feel one thing and they say another thing. So they've always been like that. And here also, inwardly they're very happy that Krishna said this, but outwardly, they're expressing some anger. This double dealing is natural for girls. Purport. When they are satisfied within, they externally show dissatisfaction. Such feminine dealings are very palatable to boys who try to make friendships with them. This is the problem. They do drama, and somehow the boys get attracted to this drama, and it incites their lust. But the same things are happening in the spiritual world. You know what is happening in the spiritual? What are they doing in Golok Vrindavan? Huge missions are going on. Huge missions. What are the missions? So there will be some altercation between Radha and Krishna. Radha will become angry with Krishna because maybe he was found with another girl, and she will express, her feminine anger, and Krishna will try to satisfy her in many ways, and still she won't be satisfied. Then Krishna will try, okay, if I'm telling nothing is happening, so I want my friends to go and tell. So huge plans, and sometimes these friends, the boys, they will talk to Radharani's girlfriends, and then they talk to them, and then everybody makes a plan how to capture Radharani and make her again favorable towards Krishna. So in this way, to get news from the other party, Vrinda, um, Vrinda Devi, she actually arranges everything for the service of the Lord. She's here as Tulsi Maharani in our world. She manifests as Tulsi Maharani, and this Vrinda Devi, she has millions of parrots. Parrots bring news from one place to another. So in this way, there is a huge, passaging of, passing of messages from one party to another. And in this way, there is a huge, drama going on there, basically in the Golok Vrindavan. And then finally, it culminates into where Krishna and Radha, they will be dancing, and there will be Raslila, and then everybody will be happy. And after that, some other drama happens. So in this way, there is drama going on there all the time. That is the big missions there in the spiritual world. So um, by these dealings, of course, in material world, the woman, when she becomes dissatisfied, all thing, is because her sense gratification is somehow stifled. But in the spiritual world, the gopis, they do these same feminine gestures, but just to satisfy the Lord. Here it is said, you see, such feminine dealings are very palatable to boys. And why are they palatable? Because in the spiritual world, because this material world is reflection. So in the spiritual world, Krishna, being the boy, for him, this behavior of Radharani is very palatable. You may say, Radharani, how can she be so hard-hearted and everything? But there lies the relish. Unless there is some drama, there is some masala, there's no taste. It's very bland. There should be some masala. This masala, they like, boys. So Krishna likes these things. So they do these things, the gopis, just to satisfy Krishna, because Krishna likes these things. So they are doing this not actually that they have a real jealousy or something to the other devotees, or they're not happy with Krishna, not like that. But in this way, they're serving Krishna in what he wants to enjoy. It's very different. Somebody was sharing this with me. In Ramayana, um, Kaikeyi. We know Kaikeyi as the villain of Ramayana, villainess, who sent away Ram, very cruel, very hard-hearted, and everything. But actually, there is a whole new interpretation, whole interpretation, different interpretation. Actually, she loves Ram more than anyone. So it looks like, on the externally, that she favored Bharat, and got Ram out of the palace and out of Ayodhya and everything. But actually, what happened? She was, see, if Kaikeyi was not like that, Ravan would not have been killed, right? Ram would not have any reason to go there, you know. So all these things are actually planned by Ram. He's a supreme lord. So Kaikeyi, being a stepmother of Ram, she has actually maternal affection for Ram. Then how could she do such a horrible thing? Well, how Kaikeyi was so dedicated to Ram that she was ready to forgo. Although apparently it looks like she favored Bharat, you know, but actually Bharat would reject her because of this. Not only Bharat would reject, her husband died because of this. She became a widow because of this. And not only she became a widow, the whole Ayodhya hated her. Not only whole Ayodhya hated her, today also nobody puts their daughter's name as Kaikeyi. Nobody puts. So until today, Kaikeyi got such a bad name. But she was ready to do all this to fulfill the mission of the Lord. That much she loved the Lord. Never mind, my whole reputation is gone for millions and billions and trillions of years. If Ram's mission is this, I will do anything for Ram. That is Kaikeyi. She is one of the most exalted, in fact, the most exalted of all three wives of Dasharath. I mean, actually, he had more wives. Of these three who birthed the four brothers, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrugna. So you see, they would do all these things to satisfy the mission of the Lord. Even the demons, who are they? They are devotees. Today also we say the rascal Hiranyakashipu, rascal Ravan. They don't mind. Lord's mission is fulfilled. He wanted to show his supremacy, and we have been a instrument. So for the Lord's pleasure, they would do anything. Anything. So that, gopis also, they were doing all these feminine gestures, like being upset, just like ordinary females of this world. But no, here it is very faulty because everybody is at fault. Everybody wants sense gratification. So here everything is full of faults. But in the spiritual world, no. They do this. In fact, here a girl puts on makeup to get all the attention. And then, um, that's what they do it for. To look presentable or whatever. But in the spiritual world, they do it. They also decorate their faces. They also decorate their hair with flowers and everything. Everything they do, but only to satisfy the Lord. They're not in the least interested in their own beauty or in their own, um, you know, pride and nothing. They have zero. Krishna is happy with this because a boy would like to see a beautiful girl's face. It's natural. So that where is that coming from then? Because Krishna has it in him. So Krishna, of course, okay, there is a caveat. Because here a boy likes to see a girl's face because he is lacking something which the girl can provide. But Krishna is not lacking in anything. That's another thing we have to understand. It's not that he likes to see beautiful face, or he likes to enjoy all this feminine jealousy and fighting and all of that, and he wants to enjoy all the drama, and that's why they give him. So he is in always in want of all these enjoyments, and then they supplied him. No, he is not in want. He is Swarat. He is completely self-sufficient. Nijalabha Purna. He is completely self-sufficient. But if the devotees want to serve him in certain ways, just like Bhishma did, he wanted to serve Krishna in a chivalrous way, and Krishna accepted that chivalry. And in playful way, the chivalry also is exhibited in Vrindavan, where Sridhama is known for his stick fighting and his dexterous martial arts and all those capacity. And he used to satisfy Krishna with all his moves. It looks like he was making a show. Hey Krishna, you don't think you are too strong? You try to defeat me. Try to even touch me if you can. Then he will, whirl his stick and all of that, and and they will have all these games. And Krishna wouldn't be able to touch Sridhama. But it looks like Sridhama is full of pride, he's like normal boy, like here, they will have some challenging themselves and fights or this or that. But no, because they just want to satisfy Krishna in this way. They want to serve Krishna in this way. Some people want to serve them in, like Ramdut Hanuman. Hanuman will never challenge Ram. He's always the obedient servant. But that's not the only relationship, right? As a person, we have multiple types of relationships. With some people, we are just cordial. We are just nice to them, and they are nice to us, and it's on that level. Some people are just like hi bye kind of thing, and But some people, it is more like enmity. Oh, I hate this person or something. And with others, you know we are much more free in our expressions, and we make fun of each other, and we are much more closer. And then we have relationships with our parents. They treat us differently, we treat them differently. So, and then there's lovers, or wives or something like that. Then that is a different dynamic of relationship. So all these relationships are enjoyed by one person. It's not that it's only one sided. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Not only like this, right? So there's all kinds of emotions and everything. So where is all this coming from? This is because Krishna has all of this, multifaceted. Hmm. But he doesn't need anybody actually. Oh, he has also all these desires, so somebody needs to fulfill his desires. Not really. If they want to serve him in such way, he will reciprocate. He reciprocated. He was friend of Arjuna. In the beginning, he was just making fun of Arjuna. Hey, you are behaving like a eunuch. Oh, you important fellow. When sometimes even when I was a teenager, our classmates, the boys, they would talk to each other. Hey, talk to that girl if you have the guts. Then one guy will start making some moves, and some people are like, even though he wants to talk, but he's very nervous, and he's like, he's not like confident enough to go up to her and talk to her, and they will make fun of him. Hey, you're not a man. Hey, wear sari, go wear sari. Then like this they used to, you're not man enough, you're just important, you're a woman, go get lost, don't stay here with us in the boys hostel. So they do this kind of ragging and all these things they do. So now, same way, if you see, that same thing is there in the Lord as well. These kinds of, where are these things coming from? Huh? So the Lord, he will reciprocate. If you know Arjuna, he did the same thing to Arjuna. He said, "Oh, you're not man. What is this? You big, like a big fighter who came up to the battlefield, and now looking at all the enemy, you're like running away. Come on, yaar, what are you doing?" That kind of tone, right? Like a friend in the beginning of second chapter. When Arjuna said, "Shishyasteham," I am your disciple now. Immediately, change, switch. Krishna became the guru. अशोचानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासून अगतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिता. You fool! Immediately started chastising him. You are not. You are talking like a big pandit. Why are you talking so much when you don't know anything? Then he started. Then he spoke the whole philosophy. Until then, he was not speaking anything. He was just like a friend listening to his friend. When a friend comes to another friend to talk about his troubles, well, he doesn't expect that other friend to give him some solution immediately. He just wants somebody to listen to him. He's not listening. First chapter, he did not speak anything. He just said, here is the army that you're going to fight. That's all he said in the 25th verse of the first chapter. And after that, Arjuna started speaking. And it was going on until the beginning of the second chapter. It was going on. Krishna did not say anything. When he said, "You are my guru, I am your shishya," then immediately Krishna started. He started instructing, he answered the questions of Arjuna, everything until Arjuna said, "Karishya vachanam tava." Okay, finish. Bhagavad Gita finish, take up your bow and arrows and start shooting. So, in this way, he deals perfectly according to how the devotee, comes to him. He will reciprocate in that way. Accordingly, ye yatha mam prapadyanti tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. And also, this verse is there, 3, 9, 11. त्वं भक्तियोग परिभावितहृत्सरोज आस्ये श्रुतेक्षितपथो ननुनाथ पुंसाम् यद्यद्धियात उरुगाय विभावयन्ति तत्तद्वपुः प्रणयसे सदनुग्रहाय. O my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears, Shrutekshita, by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed. And you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. So, in the form and in the mood that they want to reciprocate with you, you accordingly you will reciprocate with them. So, the Lord always reciprocates like that. See? कोनो कन्या पलायला नैवेद्य लइया तारे डाकी के कोहे प्रभु सक्रोध होइया. When some of the girls fled, the Lord called them in anger and advised them as follows. Hey, come back here. Jadi नैवेद्य ना देहो होइया कृपणी बुढ़ा भरता होबे हार चारी चारी सतिनी. Look at his naughtiness. If you are miserly and do not give me the offerings, every one of you will have an old husband with at least 4 co-wives. Now you decide what you want to do. You want to give me the offerings that you brought, supposed to be meant for the Katyayana Vrata or whatever you are doing, or you give me. You don't give me, okay? You will get, I will bless you. Old husband with 4 co-wives. So, purport. In India in those days and even until 50 years ago, polygamy was freely allowed. Any man, especially of the higher castes, the Brahmanas, the Vaishyas, and particularly the Kshatriyas, could marry more than one wife. In the Mahabharata or the old history of India, we see that Kshatriya kings especially used to marry many wives. According to Vedic civilization, there was no restriction against this, and even a man more than 50 years old could marry. But to be married to a man who had many wives was not a very pleasing situation because the husband's love would be divided among his many wives. To punish the girls unwilling to offer him the Naivedya, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu apparently wanted to curse them to be married to men who had at least 4 wives. The social structure allowing a man to marry more than one wife can be supported in this way. Generally, in every society, the female population is greater in number than the male population. Therefore, if it is a principle in the society that all girls should be married, unless polygamy is allowed, it will not be possible. If all the girls are not married, then there is a good chance of adultery, and a society in which adultery is allowed cannot be very peaceful or pure. In our Krishna consciousness society, we have restricted illicit sex. The practical difficulty is to find a husband for each and every girl. We are therefore in favor of polygamy, provided, of course, that the husband is able to maintain more than one wife. Some men may get excited about this, at this prospect. Wow, Prabhupada is saying that we are therefore in favor of polygamy. The problem is, polygamy, a man, he should be able to maintain more than one wife, and first of all, legally it is not possible nowadays. And in fact, there was one devotee who actually was trying to do this. In fact, he wanted to marry a second time, and then he was wanting to have 2 wives. Prabhupada said, "What is this? You're a lusty fellow. In our movement, our whole this thing is to reduce lust. Huh? You are just for the lust. You just want to marry, and what is this?" So the whole point in polygamy is that the man should take utmost care in maintaining the wives and the children and raising them in Krishna consciousness. Then it is allowed. And there's nothing wrong. But who can do that in Kali Yuga? In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I cannot even do one. I'm not confident that all my children, even if I marry one woman, that I would make them be able to make them Krishna conscious. So I would rather, you know, um, not marry. And also, the woman must be of a certain caliber to be able to accept such a proposal. Women are not ready today. The men are not ready. The society is not ready. The law is not ready. The times are not ready. That's why it is said in this Kali Yuga, if anyone can even maintain a family, if somebody nowadays says, "Oh," especially in the Western society, but it is here also it is becoming like that. If somebody says, "I have been married to my wife for the last 42 years," wow, big clap. Indians, I mean, if we look at this, we're like, what is the problem? Why are they clapping for this? So that's how it has become. Uh, so we can't even maintain with one woman. So it's just because the upbringing is not proper. The boy is not trained in any austerity. When a boy is trained in austerity, then he takes polygamy, provided, of course, the first thing is, let's just, I mean, forget about everything. Financially, how are we going to maintain? So it's today. I mean, the tax the government, exhorts so much. I mean, there's no way that, in fact, both have to, man and woman have to work to maintain one home. Where man can, maintain all the children and all the wives, and you know the taxation is so much, first of all. So it is becoming more and more ugra karma. That's why Prabhupada's system is to decouple ourselves from this civilization. We should exist here only to preach, but otherwise we should always be comfortable with the idea of having a self-sufficient community where we're not relying on these governments and their urban setups. You see, what they do is they collect huge taxes, and then they will say development projects. And what they do, they build all these roads, cars, this and that. I mean, so many things, infrastructures and factories and jobs. We're giving jobs. So, in the name of development, they tax the people, and then they do this extraordinary hard work just to maintain themselves. And people are working as a result for 12 hours, 14 hours, traveling back and forth huge distances to home and from home. And this way, their entire human energy is sapped from them. And they have no time to chant, to read, to discuss, and preach this philosophy to others. And that's why, you know our movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, is so simple at the same time so sublime. It is just suitable for this age. That despite all of this, if one can chant, it's not that, oh, okay, okay, chanting is very good, very good. So I'll keep on working and I'll chanting and working and chanting, and that's just my whole life. No, no, no. There should be a transformation. We should, yeah, okay, I'm stuck now, fine, but I have to chant, and then I have to take up the whole movement, and then I have to see how I can decouple myself now. I mean, from this rut, corporate rat race, as they call it, this conveyor belt that we are put on, that we are just, another piece in the puzzle, for not puzzle, I mean, in the chain of conveyor belt of their factory, corporate factory. So we have to decouple ourselves and spend more time preaching. So our chanting should bring about this kind of desires. If we are after 20 years we're comfortable, Hare Krishna Prabhu Ji, and I'm going to the same office and I'm going to the same doing the same things, nothing has happened, then what is the use of the chanting? So I must, you know, think in these terms, that what can I do for preaching, and even not that wait until then and start preaching while you're here, while even working, whatever I can do to preach, whatever I can do to spread, I should always be thinking like that. Then what will happen is that desire to preach wherever I am, whomever I meet, "Vichare ka tare kaha Krishna Upadesh," that mood will slowly give us the disgust towards material life that we need in order to take up in a more fulfilling, in a more full-time way. I mean, in a more involved manner, this Krishna consciousness movement. So it is not that okay, I should rise to a certain level before I can preach or before I can do anything. No, no, start doing, and then you get the taste. Once you get the taste, then proportionately you will lose taste for this kind of life, material life, and then you want to devote. So in this way, we have to always think of how to progress in that way. These kind of statements by Prabhupada, where he says, "We are in favor of polygamy," oh, this feminists and all these guys will just fuse. The brains will become fused. But these are very, very um, rational thoughts. These are very not just thoughts. I mean, these are Vedic systems, and these are very, very logical, very scientific. Then ইহা শুনিতা সবার মনে হইল ভয় কোনো কিছু জানে কি বা দেবাবিষ্ট হয় hearing this supposed hearing this supposed curse by Lord Chaitanya, the girls, considering that he might know something uncommon or be empowered by demigods, were afraid that this his curse might be effective. This is the platform on which the Hindus operate. Their whole worship is this. If somebody says, "Here is one Baba, new Baba, who is avatar has come," put his picture inside. Put. Otherwise, what if he is powerful and empowered, and he has some divine powers, and if he's dissatisfied, maybe something will happen to me. Put his picture. Same thing, Krishna. But here it is for Krishna. So okay, but you see the mentality. Yeah. So the girls, they were afraid. Oh, I'll get an old man with 4 co-wives. No, 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 I don't want. So they came back. You see, what if he's empowered? What if he's somebody, some god? Let him know. Let us not offend him. Let's be careful. Yeah, I heard about him. This thing, Bageshwar Baba, some new Baba, newly launched Baba, with 1 million people daily coming to see him. Apparently, he's like supporting BJP or something like that. Anyway, um, so in this way, there's no dearth of such useless Babas everywhere. So in this way, they are you know big. They somebody great. So what if he's great? There's no proof that he's great. What if he's great? So surrender. So see here. This is what happens when we want sense gratification. Although this, of course, this is all pastime by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but look at it from the material point of view. Now here the girls are, they want a good husband, handsome husband. They are praying to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is handsome and peaceful. They want handsome and peaceful. They don't want handsome and chaos fellow. They want peaceful guy. So they are praying to Lord Shiva. So wanting these kinds of things, and then, oh, if something can stop my sense gratification, so I might not. So then he said, oh, you will have old husbands, with 4 co-wives and everything. Oh, no, okay, we'll come back and offer you. So what if he's a Baba? What if he's a demigod? What if he's God himself? Or what if he's given the power of God, empowered by God or something? Somewhere that word may come true. And let us satisfy. So we will fall for these Babas as long as we want material things like this. Of course, this is, I'm not saying that they are material. They are, to have pastimes with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not common, but it is also on the material. This thing we have a what is it called? Parallel, a reflection of this in the material world. So if we want material things, then we will fall for these babas. They are predators who prey on this kind of fear of loss of sense gratification. When we went to Vrindavan on a pilgrimage, So we went to Shamkund, we go Govardhan Parikrama, and then we came to Radhakund Shamkund. So we went there, to put some water on our head, sprinkle some water. Then one some fake priest. So he was first of all not even in his dhoti. He was just wearing kurta and one big red straight some tika, and then he was just like and he was saying, "Oh, come, I'll do puja for you." And I was, thank you, it's okay. No, we'll put it, okay, for you. Then we were like, okay, enough. We know how to do puja. We will chant. Our Prabhupada is there. He will give us all the blessings. We don't need your this thing. Thank you. So we were like, he tried all his luck and all his best. Then we were like walking away from him. I curse you. I curse you that when you go on the plane will crash. I said, so be it. Thank you, Prabhuji, for reminding. And we will chant a little more attentively on the plane then. Hopefully, in the last moment, if we can chant Hare Krishna, good for us. So you will die. You will die of a plane crash, and all your family members will die. I said, fine. Thank you. Hare Krishna. And we just went. And the guy could not do anything. But what if others who are very attached to family life and everything, Baba, don't say like that. Okay, well, let's do. हाँ अभी मैं शांत हो गया अरे मैं अभी वरदान देता हूँ so I'll give you blessings I am now shant all that curse nothing will happen so okay thank you so this is the kind of stupid religiosity people are following. That's why Kaitava dharma, this is called cheating religion. As long as we want material things, we will be cheated in our religious process. So if we are very confident like Bishaki Sen, he was there, he had magical powers as well, tantric. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, not once did he compromise. And by the mystic power of the yogi, he made Bhaktivinoda Thakur ill, so ill that his daughter was going to die, and his Bhaktivinoda Thakur was going to give the judgment, put him in jail, and then he was on bed rest. He couldn't even come to court. That ill he was because of that power of this Baba. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, "Take me on a stretcher to the court. I want to give the judgment now." That is the fearlessness of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he went and gave the judgment, put him inside jail. Then at that time, this of course one British fellow, he understood about, he studied some yogis and all that. Then he took a big scissors and then cut his hair. And then he collapsed, and then all the power became all gone, and all the whole village was sick. And the Bhaktivinoda Thakur's daughter came back, well, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was well, and everything became. So Krishna arranged somehow, you see. So the thing is, he was not afraid. Because why? Because he did not want anything from this world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is like, I will die if the Lord wants me to, but I will never compromise. So that feeling only a devotee will have, a surrendered devotee. But if we want this material nonsense, then we will be afraid. This kind of, some Baba will come and say, oh, pura satyanash ho jayega tera. Oh, sorry, sir. Baba, donation ye le le. So we are not into that. So that's why people should be educated so that they won't be hoodwinked by these idiots. They are idiots, fine. These people who follow, they are even worse. Because of the existence of these idiots, those bigger idiots are actually existing. Those Babas and those gods. They are existing because of these kind of people. आनिया नैवेद्य तारा सम्मुखे धरिला खाइया नैवेद्य तारे इष्टवर दिला. The girls then brought the offerings before the Lord, who ate them all and blessed the girls to their satisfaction. एई मत चापल्य सब लोकेरे देखाए दुख कारो मने न है सबे सुख पाए. When this cunning behavior of the Lord with the girls became known to the people in general, it did not create misunderstandings among them. Rather, they enjoyed happiness in these dealings. This is the thing about the Lord. Whatever he does is worshipable. So this is one day. Okay, this is now different. So this we will stop here. So any questions or comments on this topic? Hare Krishna, I have one question. I have been wearing Tulsi Mala for more than 2 months. So can I wear Rudraksha together? You know, it's not about Tulsi or Rudraksha. The problem is in your mind. You don't know Krishna or Shiva or what. You don't know. So Rudraksha is those who follow Lord Shiva. Why do you want Rudraksha? You should be identifying with Krishna, Vaishnava. Huh? So if you're not clear among the two, oh, all are okay, this is okay, that is okay, everything is okay. No, it's not okay. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita clearly, it is not okay. 7th chapter, 23rd verse. What is that? Uh, येऽप्यन् 9:23 sorry येऽप्यन्य देवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विता तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्ति हि अविधिपूर्वकम्. Then he says अंतवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवति अल्पमेधसां देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि. So I mean, worshippers of demigods are not very intelligent because you can only get material things from devatas and those are temporary. Why do you want these things? So anybody who wants these things are fools. So, do you want to remain a fool or not? If you put both, that means you don't have understanding of what is what. And you come under the mode of passion like that. Why? Because mode of passion is like that. I'll show you. 1830. While we have all respect for Lord Shiva, but we cannot conflate him with God. We cannot make that mistake. You see, प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च कार्याकार्ये भया भये बंधम मोक्षम च या व्यक्ति बुद्धि सा पार्थ सात्विकी. That understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, he is in the mode of goodness. यया धर्मम अधर्मम च कार्यम चाकार्यमेव च अयथावत् प्रजानाति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ राजसी. O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. This is your situation. What should be done, what should not be done, you don't know. You cannot distinguish. Can I put Tulsi and Rudraksha also? Why? Why not? It's okay, na? So I'm not criticizing you, but this is the mentality that drives these thoughts. We are not sure about what is the actual religious principles. It's like I want to do it. Can I do it? It's not what you want. What Krishna wants. What Lord Shiva wants also. What Lord Shiva wants and what Lord Krishna wants is the same. Krishna wants you to surrender to him. Lord Shiva wants you to surrender to Krishna. And an acharya, any devotee would want you to surrender to Krishna. So Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna both want you to surrender to Krishna, but you want to follow something else. Religious principles are not understood by more person in the mode of passion, as is stated here in this verse. Now, next, adharmam dharmamiti ya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhi sa partha tamasi. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion. Now, in mode of passion, there is a confusion. Don't know whether this is right, that is right, this is wrong, what don't know. The more of ignorance, conviction strengthens. You become convinced. Completely opposite conclusions. What is religion? You will say that it is irreligion. They are rascals. What is irreligion? You will say this is religion. What is correct? You will say wrong. What is wrong? You will say correct. You are convinced about it. That is ignorance. Whereas in the goodness, you are convinced of the truth. In ignorance, you are convinced by the lie. In passion, you are not clear which is truth and which is lie. This is the difference between the three modes. So, we cannot wear it. If you want to progress in your spiritual life, then you should not wear Rudraksha. And don't just wear Tulsi Mala also. Wear Tulsi Mala, the external signs are one thing. The main thing is the internal purification. That will happen with Shravanam. When you hear, when you read Prabhupada's books, then you will understand what is what. Then you will know how to make better judgment about everything. So this without philosophy, if you just want, can I wear Tulsi? Tulsi will give me protection, but maybe Lord Shiva will get angry, so I'll put Rudraksha also. Maybe that Durga will, so when I will go to Kali Puja and they will give me some sacred thread, I will put that also. I will take everything. I will whatever. Some people are like this, pious fools. Pious fools. They're pious, yeah. They're God fearing, but fools. Pious fools. Don't be a pious fool. then you'll become impious. Because as long as you're a fool, that piety is getting eroded. Because whatever piety is there was something good you have done. But these foolish activities are getting you down, and then one day you will be, maybe this life, next life, or after 20 lives, you will be convinced of atheism. This is how it starts. To think of there is something um, different. Like if I take protection from Krishna, that's not enough. I need protection from Shiva also. That means Krishna, you don't have faith. Why you want the Shiva protection again? If Krishna is protecting you, is Shiva's protection also not with you? Because Shiva always meditates on Krishna. But if you worship Shiva, Krishna's protection is not with you. No. Ravana was a great worshipper of Shiva. What happened to him? Killed. So that's what we need to understand. But no, there was never a time where a devotee was vanquished. The Lord, the Vishnu's devotee is always protected. Even if he dies, he'll go back to Vaikuntha. Whereas the other Devata worshippers don't get the same destination. They don't get. Kailash is not the same as Vaikuntha. Yes, it is very exalted place, but one still has to rise above that also to go to Vaikuntha. So this is the thing. Prabhuji, I want to be an archaeologist once I grow up to help preserve the Lord's historical sites like Dwarka, but my parents are saying I need to go to UK and all first if I want to do archaeology. My advice would be become a preacher. Let those who are studying archaeology, let them do it, let them dig. Why do we want to dig? When we already have the treasure. Preserve large historical sites like Dwarka. Now, let it happen. Whoever, we need preachers now. The site of Dwarka, okay, even if you preserve it, you do whatever. What can you do? You cannot lift it out of earth and make something. And even if you bring it, like, okay, there are some temples, right? Old temples. They are not drowned within the sea. There are beautiful temples, huge temples, and everything. Now, they are above the surface. They are there. But nobody's going there to those temples. Beautiful temples. They just became religious tourism. That's all they are. Yeah? Tourism. Tourist sites. Nobody's learning anything. The real thing is the learning. So become a preacher. You don't need to do all these things. Everything will happen. Yeah, excavate holy sites was a order given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's our order for us is to Sarvatra Prachar. That is our what is that? Bharata Bhumite Banishu Janma Hoile Jar Janma Sarthak Kare Karo Paropakar. So let them do all that. Let others do this. Main thing is preachers. We want to be concerned with the living, the life of it. The living thing is the Krishna consciousness. The consciousness is what gives it life. Now, Angkor Wat is the biggest temple, Vishnu temple in the world. Now, what is going on there now? Nothing. So why? Because the life is gone. So we may construct big, big temples, but if there is no preaching of Krishna consciousness, it will be gone. So Dwarka also same thing. Every place can be made into Vrindavan. That is our real mission. Why bring out the Dwarka from the sea? Make the whole earth as Dwarka. That should be your mission. That is the mission of a preacher. What did Srila Prabhupada do when he gone to America? Vrindavan was lost. People do not know anything about Vrindavan, or rather, we were lost to Vrindavan. So in our hearts, Vrindavan was like nowhere. But he brought the focus back to Vrindavan and made so many places equal to Vrindavan all over the world. Our thing is not to restore some sites or something like. Our thing is to manifest that site everywhere, and it's the consciousness that makes the site. What was great about that Ram Setu or Dwarka and all this? The devotion, the whole service, that whole mission, the pastimes of the Lord, and the service that the Lord's devotees gave to the Lord. Those are the things that made it great. Now, if you only worship those things and then not actually imbibe the devotion and try to preach the devotion that actually manifested those things, what is the point? The skeletal remains um, of a, you know such a great civilization, of devotion centered civilization. Um, it's only a skeletal remains of that. So let's be concerned with the life, the active principle, which is the Krishna consciousness. That should be our thing. You go to UK. By the time you go to UK and become an archaeologist, you will already have family and 5 children. Okay, then you have to dig to find gold to maintain your family. So in UK, you will find someone and marry. I'm telling you, too much of distraction. Why not you stay in the association of devotees, become a preacher, and become a strong preacher and preach this message? That is what you should think of. Okay. Should I keep pursuing and go to places like Oxford to get my dream job as an archaeologist? Well, I already answered that. Now, there's a full Sanskrit message. I am not even going to try to read it. In experiencing social media is really, literally more toxic than Chernobyl. Mm, Manu is saying there's the fact they worship the 40-year marriages. Yeah. Love at first sight and divorce at first night. Yeah. Some people say love at first sight, divorce at first fight. Vrindavaneshwari Mataji. Prabhuji, so if women earn money in order to support the husband, is that accepted in terms of Shastras? Well, even if she has to do it, there are other ways to do it than going to an office and workplace, the traditional manly way. Or the, you know, like for example, I remember my mother used to say this. My grandmother, I think every one of you must be having similar um, stories. So, my grandmother, my mother's mother, she had 9 children with the grandfather. So, the grandfather used to work in another town, another city, and she used to be here with the 9 children. Now, to maintain, of course, father was bringing money and all of that, but then sometimes she had to make ends meet, and she was doing, what she was doing? She used to stitch. So she used to stitch blouses and women's clothes, and sometimes for children some clothes like that. And she would charge something, and that's how she would also do a business like that. And that's a very home-based, feminine way of doing business, where she doesn't have to go out and like that is preferred. If at all something is required, she can do like this. In fact, even man also should eventually give up that kind of life, and we should think of you know becoming full time. But even if you are working, say, the man should be working. After some time, he will get fed up of this anyway if he's advancing devotee. But for the woman, there are you know too many things that can go wrong if a woman goes out. And even if artificially, the law is there where the woman's safety is there, and even that is there, it's not healthy. And also, even if it is healthy and everything, even if nothing bad is going to happen, there's no such thing as nothing bad is going to happen. There will be happening. There will be things happening at the workplace. Um, but even if one can handle all of that, it is to set an example for other women, so that to give them also the confidence that okay, it can be done in other ways. We don't have to subscribe to the capitalist agenda of doing things only in one way. Just like the education system, they think, oh, if I don't get this education, I cannot. My life is a failure. No, it's not. It's not. Hmm? You're always welcome in our temples. Our temples have unlimited vacancies. So nobody gives you job. We are there to give you job, and we won't maybe to give you a salary. We will give you food and a place to stay, and You will have nice philosophy, nice friends, and everybody, and you can preach this message and do everything for the Lord. So we have unlimited vacancies. Of course, for women, they have to get married to a man, but first, at least for the man, you know, there's unlimited vacancies. So that things only can be done in a certain way is a misconception. That we have to come out of that. That is what they want us to believe. So think of other ways. Nowadays with social media, we can have some kind of a. Some people, they cook in their home, and that becomes a business. They're cooking. Of course, if we want to unplug from urban life, then we can go somewhere in the village and have a farm and everything. But don't just live for sense gratification. Live in such a way that you have to make it a hub for spiritual culture. Even if one is a grihastha, the neighbors, everybody, you should regularly conduct programs so that they will all come, do some function, some bahana you put and bring everybody. Let's have a kirtan, let's have a Gita part and prasadam, everybody come together. So in this way, one should always think of how to preach, whether wherever one is. That will keep us healthy and alive in Krishna consciousness. Don't think of always, going back to karmi life and a bit of chutney Krishna consciousness in my life. Let's be to that extent. No, we should think in these terms. But if at all one has to maintain, try to do in these ways. Why we have to do going to the office? Yeah, I know some Matajis are also stuck at offices and work lives, but not ideal. And not only not ideal, okay, maybe you are able to handle it. As I said, you have to also think of others. Give them the confidence that this is possible. Like we are, staying in the temple, brahmacharis, or like Prabhu is there. Unless somebody is full time. For example, one time one lady came. She came. She was actually in Singapore only for like 3 or 4 days from India, and she was in all kinds of tension because her education and project submission, and I don't know what else was going on in her life, but she was full of anxiety. And then she came to the temple, and then she was asking, what about this, how about this, and so we preached to her. Then finally she said, in the conversation she said, but is this necessary that people must become like you, like full time and all this, or can people also do like part time? I said, you can do either way, but if you want full benefit, you have to involve more of your time. And also, if I was a part timer, I wouldn't have been here at 10 p.m. to talk to you. Okay, so, and she said, yeah, I did not think of it that way. Yeah, if there is no full time people, then who will be the one who will be guiding the others? See, because if everybody is busy in their own family, own work, and everything, then who will be the one whom people can come for guidance? Uh, so to where I will go? So there has to be people who class of people who do this on a full time basis, and they should help others. So it's always necessary. So we should always think of helping others. So even if I can work, I should rather not, and do it in other ways so that to inspire confidence in others so that this is possible. I'll give you another example. What will happen? What is the consequence of this kind of work? Actually, it's very pernicious. The effect of Maya is so pernicious that we don't see. It's very subtle. For example, if, okay, man and woman are working, I'm telling you, the children are not going to have a good family life. They are not going to get good guidance. Okay, that's number one. Next thing is, by working in that corporate culture and everything, the woman and the man think that to sustain in this world, you need a job like this. You see, both of us are working, and for that, you need to get good grades. So they will inculcate the children also with these values, and they pass on the disease. It will become a generational disease. So it has to be changed. Yeah, now I'm stuck. Okay, but I don't want this to continue to the next generation. If I work the whole life, how am I going to tell my children not to do it? How can I? Unless they themselves associate with devotees and run away from this kind of thing, and you know and then the parents get worried. Arey yaar, he's going, and then if he doesn't have a job, if he doesn't have education, then what will happen in the future? If something happens, he doesn't have a backup plan. Whoever wants backup plan, Krishna throws him in the back seat, or rather back of the vehicle. Throw, get out. So we will default to the backup plan if we have a backup plan. Surrender to Krishna means there's no backup. How would we know what will happen in the future? We don't know. Leaping into the unknown. But what is unknown? Krishna is there. So he will take it. Let me surrender my life to Krishna. But they cannot preach this because their realization will not allow them to preach. Their realization is only at a certain stage where they think they have to work, and that's why they're actually working. If they think that it is not necessary, they will find ways and means to come out of it if they're really serious about it. So I'll tell you our Karunamai Mataji and Nimanita Prabhu in China, Karunamai Mataji and Chaitanya Leela Prabhu in Australia. The other day I was chatting with Karunamai Mataji, and she was saying, I will never send my children to these schools, to the normal schools. I will never send. I really appreciate that resolve. It is very hard to find that resolve even among devotees. They will FOMO. You know what is FOMO? FOMO? Fear of missing out. Hey, everybody's becoming advanced. My child is just like nothing. What will happen? Nothing will happen. Yeah, basic education should be there. Yes, and that's why actually I asked Karunamai Mataji to come up with some materials and a group where devotees can be encouraged to homeschool at least, or even they are not able to homeschool, at least start Krishna consciousness during when they're at home. Start something. Don't just let your children go to school and everything and expect them to become huge sadhus when they come out of and when they get into some mess and in their teenage years or later on. Don't come to the temple and ask, hey Prabhu, please now help me. At that time it's too late. So of course not too late. I mean, you can always start Krishna consciousness, but why not if it can be done in their early years? So for all practical purposes, in the matter of progression in Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable for the woman to work. There was sometimes in past in rural areas of UP, Bengal, Odisha, Bihar, or in South India, they have so much big tantra power that they did Maran Yogya on people. Even now, the kind of people are there, very few, but they're there still. We should not be afraid of such things. Prabhuji, I'm preparing for IIM CAT exam. I'm new to Bhakti. Please give me advice how I can manage both. Now decide whether you want to go to Krishna or become a cat. IIM, Indian Institute of Management. But people are not able to manage their lives. Your life is in a mess. Business management and all those things. I mean, you know what? Of course, these words will be very sharp for you, maybe, but honestly, it's not good for you. Now it may sound all, yeah, this is what I must do. You're all fired up about it. It's not going to mean anything when after 10, 20 years. It's not going to mean anything. So, if at all we live that long, okay, so we should pass our human life exam. If you pass cat exam, then you become a cat. So don't become cat. Cats and dogs, they cannot understand Krishna. So you as a human being, you become strong. This kind of questions, you have to have guts to ask me this kind of questions because I'm dead against this. This education is a corporate farce. Okay, this capitalist farce. That's all. They are making you IIM so that You will feel prestigious, but actually they want you as a pawn in their capitalist economical structure. They want you as a pawn. So this is a Western ideology. Our ideology is not this. We have to really decolonize ourselves from this Western influence and understand our roots, which are rooted in the Vedas. It is not capitalist, it is not communist. It's kind of a spiritual communist, but very different from this stupid communist. It's actually Vedic. Everything is the states, yes, but it's all for the Lord. Hmm. So you may think, yeah, you're talking all these things. Are yeah, this is now modern age. Nobody you can say that all these things, but this is modern reality is that you're in the city and you have to do, forget it all that. No, you just can't give up like that. It is very much revivable, and Prabhupada showed how to do it, and we are also doing it. We are in. I am living in Singapore, the most expensive city in the world. The cars here are unimaginably expensive. You know, housing expensive like anything. I think it is number one or number two or number three. It fluctuates between those. The most expensive city in the world, and I don't have a job. I mean, I have a job, but not a paying one. It doesn't pay me money. So, why is it not possible? Why? That's my question. So, we are programmed to think in one way. We have to. That's why this reading of Prabhupada's books is very important. We have to understand that Krishna will maintain. Krishna is there. If he can give his elephants, you know, 50 kilos every meal, why can't he give his own devotee something to eat? He will give. Won't he take care? Yeah, otherwise, we don't have faith. Draupadi, when Dushasan was stripping her naked, then she was holding on to her sari, and then she was on one hand she was saying, "Oh Govinda, Govinda," like this. So Krishna was not, coming and helping her. At one point, she just both hands she just lifted. Oh, hey Govinda, please save me. That's it. She gave up her own effort of saving herself because it's just she was, I mean, a woman, and Dushasan is a powerful man. He's a kshatriya, I mean, warrior. Heavily built. How could she resist? So, I mean, she just, hey Govinda, and Govinda protected her. But that faith. So you may say, yeah, I'm not Draupadi, so I can't imitate her. Fine. I'm not asking you to, trying to get save yourself from being stripped naked or something. I'm not saying that, right? So it is on our level, we can do this much. We should have faith that Krishna will protect. So this I am, this career oriented kind of thinking, it's very detrimental for your life, especially for women even more. Man also as much, but women even more. Won't have even a proper family life if you have become very highly career oriented. You can't have. It just won't work. Very few families actually work where the woman is highly career. It's almost impossible. And even if it at all is there, the man is usually a pet animal in such a household. So I mean, spiritually, it's very difficult. Very difficult. I'm telling you. So please try to. So if you are asking me advice, how can I manage both? Well, I would give you advice how to manage your Krishna consciousness. Everything else will be automatically managed, and eventually, if you are strong in Krishna consciousness, you will get a detestful attitude towards material life. Okay? How to manage your Krishna consciousness? Chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds every day and read Prabhupada's books. No matter what else you do, read his books. Eventually, this will conquer over the other, and then this will replace the other. That is what we need to do. However much you may like me, I'm not going to tell here, sit down here and tell, I will teach you how to get concentration so that your cat exam, you can fast and become a cat. I'm not going to tell that. I'm going to tell you that don't take cat exam, take your human exam, and then become a devotee. Pass your examination in this human life. At the time of death, can you remember Krishna? That is the test. That is the test in human life. If you can't, you're going to return here and become a cat maybe. Because every time you're saying cat, 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 and then you'll become a cat. If you chant Krishna, 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 you'll go to Krishna Lok. You decide. Yeah. Some other ISKCON temples, they may actually teach you how to become concentration and everything and fulfilling your exams. We are not. We will tell you point blank what is right and what is good for you, what is bad for you, and we'll tell whether you like it or not. You know, that's our. Mm, do devotions to become archaeologists are your own plan. Okay, what is this? Prabhu, how can I preach Krishna consciousness after getting into an IIM? If you're already getting into an IIM, then start a club there. Uh, you can start clubs in universities. Start a club. Don't worry about your IIM degree, whether you fail or not. Can you make some people devotees there? That is your success. Okay? If you at all go there. Okay? Start a club, have programs, have prasadam for them, chanting, a little philosophy, prasadam. That program you can maintain, and reading sessions with them like that. Do something like that. Um, so of course you might not need some devotee guidance on this. Um, Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't think we are in a place where you are. Um, you become strong first. I mean, you become convinced that Krishna consciousness is the way, and then you know you just have to. Don't worry about what happens to your material life, what happens to your degrees, or what happens to your marks and everything. It doesn't matter a single bit. Yamaraj is not going to ask how much you got in your CAT exam for IIM. No, he's gonna ask how many times did you chant Hare Krishna. You did not. Oh, you're busy writing CAT exam. Oh, become CAT. I'll give you CAT body. Go. So, why is chanting recommended in the morning than performing later evening or night when you're done with your daily karma? More concentration, na? Sattvic, more peaceful, just fresh from sleep, more of goodness. Hmm. See? My only request, please do refutation of all the claims of Zakir Naik. Yes, yes, yes. In fact, all of you should become preachers, and all of you should make content here. There should be many, many preachers, not just one or two. Here recently, when Mataji joined, she's a nurse. She was saying that very difficult to work, even though getting more money, a lot of challenges. Drunkards will come, doctors also behave bad way. Yeah, it's not going to be easy in a workplace. Recently, got to know that Bangalore is giving jobs opportunities to women class also. Is that correct way? I don't know. Maybe it's in a temple setting, something for their income, and then they do something. I don't know. I don't know what is the scheme, but many things which we don't agree with their schemes, their dream project. They have now schools also, Karmi schools, just a little bit of Krishna consciousness added into that. Otherwise, a full-fledged Karmi international school or something like that, upscale school. So many things which they have. I mean, we can't agree to that. Their flavor of Krishna consciousness. They may be very good managers, but spiritually, they just do things which are completely sometimes off. Sometimes demigod worship, Saraswati Puja. Why are you doing Saraswati Puja? So these kind of things. I mean, so many things are there. Which, of course, they are trying to serve Prabhupada, but these kind of things. And why should they represent our sampradaya as if our sampradaya don't have any agamas or something? Everything borrow from the Sri Sampradaya. Why we have to imitate them so much? What is the necessity? Why can't we have our own flavor? Why should we feel like second class? Our style is not so bona fide. Why? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and defeated all the South Indians, in the philosophy and everything. Why should we should be unapologetic in our presentation of our movement? It's not that we're against the Sri Sampradaya way of doing things, but if we have a certain way, and if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself asserted his own way when he went to South India, we have to understand that mood and be true to that mood. So why should we adopt something which is, you know, something else? We should be unapologetic with our way. May I know how do I deal with people who don't like me? What can be done? Don't worry about whether they like you or not. Worry about whether Krishna likes you or not. And let me tell you, Krishna likes you. And now, whether you like Krishna or not, that is the next question. So, if you don't, then you have to learn. Then you have to learn who God is. Who is God? He is loving me, but I don't love him. What is that? So, you are saying that how do I deal with people who don't like me? How is Krishna dealing with people like us who don't like him? So, I must know that I am also on the other side now. He is giving us everything. He has given you a body, He has given you intelligence, He has given you food on the plate. He is giving you so many things, even though you don't know Him, you don't care about Him, you don't care about God. We all are from them, not only you, I'm telling everybody. We all are coming from this. Nowadays, now we are trying to mend our ways and become God conscious, but otherwise, every one of us, we don't like Krishna, we don't like God. We're not interested in God. We're only interested in God if He can give what I want. If He can't give me what I want, this is not a powerful God. I will go to some other God and try him out or try her out. That is our idea of God. If He can fulfill my desires, then He's God. If He cannot fulfill, then He's not God. So that means I'm not interested in God. I'm interested in myself. I'm a narcissist. So when you say that you know how to deal with when people don't like me, then you think about don't worry about them. You worry about whether Krishna will like me or not with what I am doing. Suppose, for example, if I eat meat, Krishna doesn't like that. So I must see whether I am satisfying God or not first. Because ultimately, who's going to save us at the time of death? It's not all finished. The soul goes into another body. And if we satisfy Krishna, then we'll go back to Vaikuntha and never to come back here. This is not all some fantasy, some fiction, some just to tell you that you do something good in this world. No, no, no. It's actually a fact. Now, science, what is this nonsense science? What do they know? What do they know, these science fellows? They know nothing. Okay, so God is there. He is the truth. He is the supreme absolute truth. If not for Him, we won't be existing in the first place, because none of us created any of this world and nothing. Everything is created by Him. So if He has given us everything, it is His property. But I am thinking it is my property. Am I not a thief? So will Krishna like all this behavior from us? So let me think about that. And how can I mend myself instead of, oh, they are not liking me? Am I such a pure soul that everybody should like me? I'm not. I have so many mistakes. So let me work on my own mistakes. Don't bother about what others think. Bother about what Krishna thinks of you, what God thinks of you. They say, oh, don't care about people's judgment, be you, be what you are. Crap. We work on people's judgment. If you go to an interview for a job, your future is on the judgment of that HR manager who's going to hire you or fire you or not take you. So you are being judged at every time, whether in the corporate circle or in a family or anywhere. We are always accountable, and ultimately we're accountable to God. So, and even if I satisfy or not satisfy this or this person, I have to satisfy God, Krishna, because our future depends on it. Just like if I have to, continue in this company, certain company, then I have to satisfy the boss. I may or may not like my job, but I have to satisfy him or her. Then only I can, be peaceful or can stay alive, even, right? So am if I care about my own future, if I care about myself, then I will have to listen to what God wants me to do. And how do I know what God wants me to do? Read Bhagavad Gita. That's why we say read Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the book, spoken by God, Krishna. So maybe I will post a link here. Um, Bhagavad Gita, right? So I have posted a link. Okay? So you can Prabhupada.io/books. You can go there and /BG. I think Bhagavad Gita is there. And I think another book is this Prabhupada.io/book/SSR. So this is the Science of Self-Realization. It's going to be posted. So once you can actually go through them and read them. Maybe I would recommend the SSR for you, Science of Self-Realization. Science of Self-Realization. That is the title of the book. So it is to realize ourselves. Who am I? Who am I first? Don't worry about what people think of it. Who am I first? Do I even know who I am? I don't know. I think I'm a Chinese, I'm a Japanese, I'm an Indian, I'm an American, I'm a Russian. I'm not any of this. I'm a human being. No. I'm a woman, I'm a man. No. I'm a soul. These are all bodies. We are not the body. That's the first thing we have to understand. So this Science of Self-Realization book is very important. Read that first and then go to the Bhagavad Gita. And there are some other books also on the same site. You can go and read all those. So I would recommend that. And if you can get a copy, if you are here in Singapore, you can always come to our temple. I don't know if our address is there. Okay. I have posted our address in the comment section. So you can come to our temple and you can participate in our classes, our books. You can take our books. You can talk to us one on one. We are available here. We are only for this to help people out. Okay. Thank you very much. Next. Prabhuji, when women start working, I feel she becomes egoistic just like nowadays women want equal rights like men, falls victims of adultery. I'm glad that you said it because if I say it, they call it misogyny. It's good that you said it. It is true. When they start working, you know, materially, even without even spirituality, if a man earns money, he will think of course, he should be a good man. I mean, if he's a bad character man, that's another thing. He's an idiot anyway. But we're talking about cultured man, coming from good families, good background, and whatever. If he earns money, then he will think of how to. Of course, that is also selfish and everything, but he will think of how to make his wife and children comfortable. He want to provide for his family. And when the woman earns money, she gains this mentality that I don't need the man. I can fend for myself. But a man does not think like that. Oh, I can earn, so I don't need woman. No, it's not for money that he wants a woman. Of course, he he has other needs, sexual needs, and all this, and then eventually he will have children, and that is. But when a woman gets money, she doesn't want a man, or even if she's in the marriage and earning money, she will be like there is this dynamic in the marriage where there's a level of independence of the woman where it comes out subtly, you know, that you don't tell me what to do because if you don't like me, I can go my way. I don't need you. That kind of a attitude is subtly under the works. I mean, under the surface. And whenever fights happen, these things comes like a volcano. It erupts and comes out. So that is very detrimental for a marriage. So it's not good. As you said rightly, becomes egoistic and equal rights, fall victims to adultery. All this. Even if she may not fall victim to adultery, but if she doesn't want a man, what she wants to do? Alone? Seriously? I don't think so. She may end up with another man. So even if they're alone, it's miserable life. For a woman, that's a miserable life. Let's be honest. So, and none of our Vedic exalted women did any of that. So, however much I'm not, I don't want to just bash women who work or something like that because I empathize with them, I sympathize with them because they were fed a certain narrative in their life which made them take decisions which led them to where they are now today. And now they have contacted Krishna consciousness and they're already in this kind of system. And I do empathize with that. Now, at least we have to wake up for it. We cannot remain like, oh, I'm already in the system, so I think it's okay if I'm in the system. That is rubbish. Let's understand, at least, okay, even if I'm kind of stuck or somewhere, at least in my mind, I should understand that this is not ideal. And praying to Krishna, please, get me out of this. What to speak of women? I mean, even men. Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they were high posts in the government and they gave up. And they went, of course, they became sannyasis. But for the woman, it's the home. And that's where she, nurtures the next generation. So, It's very important that a woman plays that role. It is very much essential. So, yes, you have said it right. So, it's best not to work. And as I said, even if you have to have some financial, help, then you can do it in other feminine ways from home, which does not need you to go to an office and interact with all those workplace people. You can do it in different ways. You know, a feminine way. Okay, what is this? I heard Prabhupada said keeping few cows and little land will solve our economic problems. Should that be done? We should actually switch to that. And I'm telling you, let me tell you this. It is going to come to a point where you will have no choice but to do this, because you will not be able. This urban lifestyle is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. At one point, we are actually putting up with all the taxes, with all these things. We are putting up with this now, but it will come to a point where it will just be impossible to live in this grid of this, as I say, matrix. This matrix of this capitalist matrix. It is difficult. It will become difficult, and therefore we have to unplug from this and have our own alternative societies and systems. And it is very. I mean, it is have a land, have your own fields, cows. That's it. That's it. So that should be done. But don't just hurry and go into the village and go and find some land and just stay there. Think about preaching. Even if you do that, you have to think of preaching. Get a sizable people, at least sizable number of people, and start a project like that. And then don't, oh, because cities are all troublesome, don't run away from cities, because that's where the huge concentration of people are. And we have to make people Krishna conscious. We're not here to make the grass in the farm Krishna conscious. We cannot do much with the grass. I mean, chant, yeah, they can hear, yeah, next life, and then maybe. But we want people to change in the human form of life. So the vast majority of people are concentrated in the urban areas. So we cannot give up our foothold in the cities. But at the same time, we have to show this rural, I mean, way of life. I'm afraid on how I'll find a husband anyway. Since it's Kali Yuga, I'm worried that my husband would be abusive. Don't meditate on an abusive husband, because our meditation will usually fructify. You know, there is this. See, Krishna can do anything, and don't worry about what kind of husband you will get or what. You just worry about becoming a Krishna conscious devotee. Krishna will take care. Just as much as you are afraid to get a husband who would be abusive, every man today is actually afraid of getting an abusive wife. Don't think that women also can't be abusive. They can be very abusive. In fact, the vast majority of divorces is only because of womanly behavior. It's not because of the man. It's because of the woman. In US, 80% of the divorces are initiated by a woman. And if she's college educated, 90% of the divorces are by women. So it's actually, and in fact, Prabhupada also said this, that divorce is predominantly due to feminine behavior. It may not look, because a man, if he abuses, maybe he will lay his hand. But a woman abuses in a very different way, in a very subtle way. But he will eat the brain of the man. So emotionally, she is in different ways. It's not very visible. And that's why, it's not very, if a woman is abusive, they will laugh at the man. But if the man is abusive, they will say, hey, how can you do like that, and this and that. Therefore, the man even cannot even complain. People will laugh at him. So for sometimes you just keep quiet. So just as much as you are afraid to get a good husband, every man who wants a wife is very afraid to get a good wife. He is worried that this woman is so educated and what she will do and what she cannot do. She cannot do one housework also, and then she will maybe start arguing and this and that. It won't be stable. So it's both ways. See, But if you become a devotee, Krishna will arrange. There are also nice men and women. It can always work out, even in Kali Yuga. But we just have to, and even if, say, for example, family life is not very palatable for some reason, there is also Krishna's benediction. Hmm? For example, let's take Mahabharata. I can tell from the man's perspective. I mean, the man can take sannyas and these kind of things are there. But what about the woman? She has to be stuck in the family. Okay, let's take the Mahabharata. Kunti Devi. What is her position? She was very very beautiful, but her husband could not have sex with her because he got a curse. Okay, then she got a benediction through which she got children from the demigods. Okay, fine. But then she had a co-wife, Madri, and then Pandu became attracted to her and he died. Madri died. And her children and her co-wife's children, she had to take care alone as a woman. Yeah, no doubt she was a queen, no doubt she was all this. But still, it was not easy. She was in the forest. She was living in the forest for 14 years with her sons. And she went through all of that. Now, do you call that a very happy and successful marriage and, till death do us part and all these things? No, it did not happen that way. So it's not all this, rosy, happily ever after. That did not happen. So what happened? It just fell apart and it just completely blew apart. What did she do? She just stuck to Krishna consciousness, raising her children, and when they were raised, she was under their protection as a woman should be. So in this way, she conducted herself, and today we worship Kunti Devi, right? For what she is, she's aunt of Krishna. Let's take example of Devaki. Six of her children were smashed to the ground by her own brother. Let's take the example of, and they were imprisoned in jail. Let's take the example of Gandhari, the most beautiful woman of her time. None could match the beauty of her eyes. And when her to-be husband was blind, Dhritarashtra, she did not even protest. Oh, what can I'm so beautiful? How can you give me a blind husband? Now, whoever made that match, I want to actually know how that match happened. Actually, I'm not very sure, but it happened, and she got a blind husband, and she covered her eyes all her life, and nobody could see the beauty of her eyes. Would any woman subscribe to that kind of a marriage? She was a princess, a beautiful princess, impeccable beauty. I mean, nobody could take eyes off her eyes. When they look at her eyes, nobody could take their eyes off her. So beautiful. And she got married to a blind man who could not see her eyes, could not see her, and she could not see anything after that because of this marriage. Because she thought actually she could have kept her eyes, but she was so humble, she covered her eyes. And what was her marriage? Father was blind spiritually or materially. Sons were demons. All sons died before the father and mother died. She had to hear the news of their son's death, father also. And then they went to the forest, and Dhritarashtra, he self-immolated himself, and then with a yogic fire, and then she jumped into the flames, and she also passed. So is that a very successful marriage? Like, but is she not worshipped as one of the most chaste women of the universe, of the Vedic, and the entire Vedic culture? Let's take the example of Uttara. Husband was Abhimanyu. How can you have a better, braver husband than Abhimanyu, who was at 16 years old? He was fighting like a legend in the Mahabharata war, and he was killed. Her son was going to be, killed by Brahmastra of Ashwathama. Of course, Krishna saved. So this is the thing. She is Krishna conscious, therefore Krishna saved. So it doesn't matter, even if it goes all berserk. If I am Krishna conscious, that's all that matters. You see what King Kulashekar said in the Mukundamala Stotra? What did he say? नास्था धर्मेण वसुनिचयेनैव कामोपभोगे यद्भाव्यं तद्भवतु भगवन् पूर्वकर्मानुरूपम् एतत् प्रार्थ्यं मम बहुमतं जन्म जन्मान्तरेऽपि त्वत्पादम्भोरुहयुगगता निश्चला भक्तिरस्तु. What did he say? Beautiful verse. Yad bhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva karmanurupam. Oh my Lord, I have no attachment for religiosity or for accumulating wealth or enjoying sense gratification. Let these come as they inevitably must in accordance with my past deeds. What sort of husband you will get, what sort of wife somebody gets, past deeds will dictate that. He's saying, Yad bhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva karmanurupam. Let it happen as they inevitably must. Just because there may be a abusive husband, so I will always stay afraid and then I will stay not married. No. What we have to do? We have to do our duty. Arjuna was going into the war on the battlefield, not knowing whether he would come out alive. There's a danger attached to his duty. It's not that only women have. What kind of a job Arjuna had? He was going onto the battlefield and he was facing stalwart warriors, stellar warriors. Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Jayadratha, Duryodhana. I mean, unmatched. The ocean of warriors he was fighting with. There was no match. Arjuna could not have won it if not for Krishna's protection. He was going for war, and all the Pandavas. Even if it is death, that's why what it is said. Okay, let me just finish this translation. Let these come as they inevitably must in accordance with my past deeds. But I do pray for this most cherished boon. Birth after birth, let me render unflinching devotional service unto your two lotus feet. What is that? Let me be your devotee birth after birth. Even birth after birth. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, chapter 3, text 35. What is that? Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitat swadharme nidhanam shreyah paradharmo bhayavaha. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duty perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Why? Why? What is danger? What is the biggest danger? That you will die. But here it is said destruction. That means even if my death comes by my performing my duty, that is better than doing another's duty, because doing another's duty is dangerous. What can be more dangerous than death? The danger, more danger than death, is that next life will again come into this material life and even sink down below human species. Because if I do another's duty, then I am committing irreligious activity. And that is what will give me my sinful reaction in the future, and that will glide me down to hell. So even if I can, even if I think I can live as a sannyasi, even as a woman, I can live on my own and all that. That thinking is wrong. And even if the marriage is not going to, see, it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, even it may not be completely perfect. My duty. So if I take it this way, that no matter what happens to the other party or this one, I have to do my duty, irrespective of what the other party does. I have to be staunch to my duty. That will save you. We are always afraid of what he does, what she does, and this. But our thing should be, no matter what happens, I should not deviate. Krishna, please give me that strength. What Kunti Devi said, Vipada santu ta shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru. Bhavato darshanam yatsad apunar bhava darshanam. What is that? Krishna, please give me all those miseries of life again and again. At 110 years old, she was saying this. Please give me all those sufferings of my entire life again and again, not just once more, many, many times more. Because when all those sufferings were there, you were with us, and now you're leaving. No, I want you. And if you're going to be here only with us having troubles, then please give me what all those troubles. He's ready to go through anything. That is what we have to be. Sthitosmi, what is it? Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate na adhikam tatah yasmin sthito na dukhena gurunapi vicharyate. What if something bad happens? No, no, no. Krishna, give me the strength that even if everything bad happens around me, keep me strong in your devotional service. Expect everything to go very bad. As they say, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Don't prepare for the best. If you prepare for the best, anything little than that, it will become a huge disappointment. Hope for the best, yeah. If it happens, Krishna's grace. If it doesn't happen, also Krishna's grace, because He's inculcating in me the detachment to material life. That is also good. If I get a good husband, if you get a good husband, yeah, if I can be guided properly, yes. But if I cannot get a good husband, okay, fine. Then I will. That is also another time of another form of guidance. How I should not be, or I can learn, why this is not correct or whatever. So this is how we should look at it. I look, don't worry about what situations. You have no control about who will become your husband, who will become somebody's wife, children. Okay, you can have a good husband. Okay, what if the child turns out to be one mental case? You don't know, right? You're not. But you may think, okay, at least I have a chance to groom that child. Well, with everybody working nowadays, children are getting their association in schools and colleges, and they're spoiling themselves. So that is also happening, right? So you never know. So how do you know what will happen and what will not happen? So leave it to Krishna. Krishna, if you think that I require some strong lessons and therefore I will have, some kind of a tough life because of my past sinful activities, if that is my thing, I will answer Krishna. Whatever you put me through, I will go. That's why Shikshashtaka. What is that? Aslishyava padratam vinashtumam adarshanan marmahatam karotuva yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato mat prananathas sa eva napara. What is that? Whether you kill me, protect me, whether you come before me or don't come, and you punish me or praise me or reward me, doesn't matter. You are my Lord of my life. That's it. If we are confident of the fact, we can go through any situation in life. Any situation. So that is how we should be. Yeah? Prabhuji, even after beginning to walk on the path of Krishna consciousness, why is it difficult for Matajis to give up on their material job? Well, it depends on individual realizations. How seriously they take to it, how seriously. It depends on him. See, one can give up all these things if his realization is at that level. But if it's not, then, yeah. So sometimes it is good if you can receive some pushing, some kind of a push. If they don't listen to anybody, then Krishna has his own ways to push. Sometimes he will make situations in such a way in life that you can't say no to him, right? Like if he takes away my dear, my near and dear, I cannot say anything, right? Who am I to protest? Krishna will take away whoever he wants. He can take away any situation he wants. He can put any situation he wants. Who are we to control him? So he has his ways. So if we learn from philosophy, then it will be good. If we don't, then Krishna has his other ways to bring his devotees back to him. Either way, it is good for us. But if we intelligence is when I understand and I take the step, not waiting for the stick to come and get beaten up by the stick. So that's how. Why is it difficult for Matajis to give up on their material job? Not only Matajis, I mean even Prabhujis. Okay, sometimes I can see because they are in Singapore only because of their job. Otherwise, they will be sent back. So that is also a factor. But at least Matajis, if they can, they should. You know, of course, in sometimes I have seen that the Matajis and then the Prabhujis is on the dependent path. Of course, sometimes there are different dynamics working, but generally, principle should be this. And if I am not in that fitting into that principle, then I should pray to Krishna, please give me strength to fit into that principle. Not praying that, actually Prabhupada was very merciful. He said, you can study in college, because there is one quote like that. Somebody was studying in college, and yeah, Prabhupada said, okay, you do your education and then you do Krishna consciousness. And that was in the beginning. He was saying, and they also did not have a place where they could host anybody. But later on, he said, stop all your jobs. Why are devotees working? Everybody come join up. So Prabhupada's preaching was different later on. So quoting something out of context without divorcing it from the whole situation under which it was quoted like that, and in which way Prabhupada was dealing with the devotees, that should not be done. You see? So why is it difficult for Matajis to give up? So this is the thing. Our realization, we have to become realized. That's why we have to read Prabhupada's books, attend these classes, chant Hare Krishna, engage ourselves in service. And if you read, these realizations will come. If you don't read, then where will the realizations come from? That is the main reason, predominant reason. I'll show you the verse to prove it. Srimad Bhagavatam 555. 555 and 556. पराभवस्तावत् अबोधजातो यावन्न जिज्ञासत आत्मतत्त्वं यावत् क्रियास्तावदिदं मनोवय कर्मात्मकं येन शरीरबन्ध. As long as one does not inquire about the spiritual values of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Be it sinful or pious, karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka, colored with fruitive activity. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear, and as long as one is absorbed in fruitive activity, he has to accept a material body. Now, you may say that, oh no, this is for inquiring, those who are starting, in the spiritual. No, I would say, even for devotees. As a devotee, why am I not inquiring? For example, okay, inquiring about spiritual, who am I, that is, okay, first thing. Okay, after I come into Krishna consciousness, why am I not inquisitive? For example, I'm singing, simple thing I'm telling you. I'm singing Samsara Davana Lead Haloka song in the morning. Why am I not inquisitive about the meaning? Why am I singing with all the devotees without inquiring about the meaning? Why am I not curious to know what I'm singing? So, if we are not inquisitive about everything that we do, everything that we are supposed to do, and what is the direction, and inquisitive about how can I advance, instead of being satisfied in showing others that I'm a devotee, but actually not interested in really bettering myself, improving myself in order to become a proper devotee. Am I really acting in such a way that I'm eligible to go back to Godhead, or I'm not? At every step of our lives, you know, at every step of our lives, we have to always introspect ourselves like that. Then only we will. This is so. When this word is there, yavanna jigyasata atmatattvam. This jigyasa must come at every level, not just in the beginning. There is jigyasa. After that, zero jigyasa. Just know, um, so that is not the thing. Jignasa should happen at different. So you have to be inquisitive about different things at different levels of your spiritual advancement. In the beginning, it's about who am I and all this. Once you have understood who am I, then what should I do now? Okay, well, after you have understood what you should do, okay, stand 16 down, become a devotee, and all these things. Okay, now the next inquisitive, am I doing anything wrong or anything, or is there anything, or why am I doing what I'm doing? Why are these rituals in place? Get inquisitive about that. Then, okay, what about Krishna? I want to know more about Krishna. What else did he do? What is the pastime? Okay, read Krishna book. Read Bhagavad Gita. What did he say in the Bhagavad Gita? What was there in the Bhagavatam? Be inquisitive. Why am I not reading Prabhupada's books? Because I'm not inquisitive about finding what is there in that book. I'm not curious to know. So this inquisitiveness should be there always. And suppose one is very vidwan, he's like, he knows in and out all the shlokas here and there. Then he should be inquisitive about where is there a chance to preach, where this university is, this place or that place, or can we put any a table of books, where you can sell some books there or something like that. Any bazaars are going on where we can have our thing. Be inquisitive always in how to first understand yourself, how to engage yourself, how to preach and engage others. And suppose sometimes one is in a managerial position, and he has to manage other devotees, like train them, and like that kind of stuff. So then he is inquisitive, and he may ask other senior devotees how to, deal with interpersonal relationships with devotees, how to manage, how to delegate the service to different devotees, and maintain everybody in a high spirits of Krishna consciousness, how to be a proper leader, and what did you do? Oh, you did that. Okay, so always inquisitive, how to improve, how to make everything better and better and better for myself and others. That mentality what will make the advancement in us. Otherwise, even okay, let me give a very simple example. Suppose my service is only to cook for the Lord. Yeah, I'm cooking, but I can become inquisitive. What else can I cook for the Lord? What else can I cook? Okay, let me learn something. Let me say, okay, let me do like this. Okay, let me. So, and then we can have, in that way, when the prasadam is nice, people will come. And there is also preaching actually. You will invite people. People will come even if they don't like. Like the recently, I mean, just 2 weeks ago, there was one guy here. I think 1.5 weeks ago. He was fighting over like anything with our devotees. He's always like that. He was a little bit always short tempered, and he will fight for no reason. So, but he could not resist prasadam. He would put prasad, he took prasadam, and then after taking prasadam, he said sorry. Actually, then he gave donation, $50 he gave donation, and then he left. And I saw him another 2 days back again. He came here, had prasadam again silently. He liked the prasadam. So if the prasadam is nice, even though he may not like anything else, prasadam for prasadam he will come. So even if my service is only to cook, okay, let's learn how to cook. Okay, now I have learned. I know so many things. How can we expand this service? Cooking. How can our prasadam be known to others? How can we use it? Like maybe can we start a Krishna conscious restaurant? Can we start a Krishna conscious catering service? Can we start something? Something. There is so much to be inquiring about every time to improve our service, improve our Krishna consciousness at every level, at every level. Our service, our own character, our and everything, the movement as a whole, and what else steps to take, all those things. So everybody should be on that. Not only Mataji's and Prabhu, everybody's thing should be like that. On a personal level, at an institutional level, at a um, interpersonal level, at all levels, preaching, international, everything. Okay, how can we expand the ISKM to other countries? How can we travel, and how can we make this sustainable? And how can we extend the reach to through social media? What can we do? Okay, let's put systems in place. Let's make some content. We have so much philosophy now. We should put it out. So in this way, we have to do. We have to always thinking of always. Prabhupada said how to control the mind. Tax your brain. Prabhupada said tax your brain how to preach Krishna consciousness. You will automatically control your mind. He exactly used the word tax your brain. You can search out that quote. So that is what we should do. Always tax our. Never be stagnant. Never be lazy, even in the mind. Don't be lazy. Laziness is the stupidest thing that we can ever do. It is a waste of our existence. Never be lazy. If you think okay, you have reached a stable position, you have not. Just be inquisitive about the next level. Okay, what should I do? Even in preaching, I mean, I'm just quoted a few examples. There are micro level questionings on each level. Okay, I'm preaching, we're increasing book distribution, we have found a few locations in the city, we're going to do book distribution, fine. Now as I'm preaching, okay, some people are coming up with this argument, some people are coming up with that argument, how to then we inquisitive again to answer the question, what is the when we discuss with devotees and we read Prabhupada's books, okay, get answer, okay, fine, okay, I got it. So in this way, inquisitive at every levels. That is what will keep us strong in Krishna consciousness. Be sincere about the whole thing. That's all. And this is the as long as we do not inquire, right? I mean, here always. So that okay. So next you see, evam manah karma vasham prayunte avidyayatmanyupadhiyamane pritirna yavanmai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat. 11 o'clock? What is this? How come we ended up at 11 o'clock now? I don't know. I thought I would finish this very quickly today. Okay, so I'll quickly finish it. When the living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he does not understand the individual living being and the supreme living being. and his mind is subjugated to fruitive activity. So this working outside is actually fruitive activity. So if we are embroiled in that, then very hard to come out. Therefore, until one has love for Lord Vasudeva, who is none other than myself, he is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. So we will have rebirth again and again if we are not going to have real affection for Krishna, real attachment. Another inquisitiveness is, it is said that if we don't have ecstatic symptoms, that means our heart is hard as stone. So I may think I am chanting good quality rounds, but why is my heart not, becoming soft or something like that? I must be coming to offenses. So Krishna, please, please, please give me the strength. Vaishnavas, please give me the strength. So in this way, and not just pray and then do nothing about it, serve them. So it's a whole, fully absorbed. One has to be fully absorbed in this kind of thinking and doing. Okay, I think so. Material education has nothing to do with spiritual education. Yeah, as long as you can read and write, that's enough. I mean, Prabhu, I'm male. This is my mom account. Okay. Prafulla Saho. Prabhuji, I'm alone struggling for bhakti. My wife doesn't follow Krishna consciousness. She eats non-veg. Can I be uplifted in Krishna consciousness if I chant 16 rounds, even if my wife is not in this line? Oh, this is the thing. See, that's an abusive wife. So I don't know. Maybe she somehow has to be introduced. I may not. Maybe she's not abusive, but yeah, she was. The training and upbringing. Maybe it's not. This is the thing. The man is also as afraid of the woman in the marriage as the woman is sometimes afraid of what man I will get. The man is also afraid of what woman he will get. So this is a classic example of a woman who's not. I have a example of a devotee who is fully chanting and everything, but his wife, absolute demon, absolute. She will fight with him, beat him, always shower him with vulgar words, vulgar, absolute dirty vulgar words. I mean, and then she even broke his Krishna Murti in the house. Demon, that is also there. But he is not taking any action on her police. He did not want to divorce her also. But now it is coming to that point. So I think now it's inevitable. But this kind of things are also going on. So it's both sides. See? Um, so yeah. So what to do if in this kind of situation? So first thing, you cannot eat her food. You cannot eat food cooked by her. You have to cook your own food. I'm not talking about, okay, give up her company and take sannyas, or I'm not telling all those things. Those are last options. Okay, and sannyas also you can't, you're not trained as a brahmachari, so sannyas life won't be easy. So what you can do is focus on your Krishna consciousness. You cannot eat her food. You have to cook on your own. You have to chant Hare Krishna, read Prabhupada's books, associate with devotees as much as possible, and if you can't get physical association, attend these classes, please, and associate like this. And you can also contact our bhaktas, our devotees. We have, like WhatsApp groups where they can engage you in online services like, making of posters, or, video editing. Even if you don't know anything about video editing, you can learn. I mean, I learned myself. I never had any degree, but you can see my YouTube channel. All the videos I edited, I think, except for one or two. But, that is, we can always learn things, and we can engage in services. So in this way we can keep ourselves, you know um, strong, and then Krishna will arrange open doors for us. Sometimes we don't know what steps to take. So, but one thing we can be sure of, but that I can take steps in order to strengthen my Krishna consciousness. What I can do in that respect, I should do to the best of my ability, as much as my ability allows. So then after that, Krishna will open more and more doors. So work on that first. I hope you're chanting 16 rounds, and I hope you're also not eating her food. You have to cook your own food and offer it to Krishna and eat it. And you cannot use her utensils also. You have to use your own utensils, and if possible, your own stove. And then if she feels that, hey, what are you doing? What is this? You can't eat my cooking. Then you must tell, okay, see, there are some principles to follow. If we are eating meat and killing these animals, this is papam, you have to tell her. And you have to explain to her nicely, maybe gently. And hopefully she understands. Otherwise, some devotees can explain or somehow or other to make her meet devotees. Somehow or other, let Krishna reveal all of that, but at least you work on your things first, on your end. And eventually things will manifest. That's all. It's not about thinking too far. Okay, how this, if I do this, then what if she does that, and what if I respond like that? Don't think too many steps. Just, I should do what I should do, and then Krishna will do what he wants to do with us. So that's how. Devashri, also I want to know that even after doing very bad karma, can people by going to Mayapur or Vrindavan can get good karma results? Yeah, that is true for Krishna's name, Krishna's dham, Krishna's naam, Krishna's form, Krishna's everything. Everything about Krishna is as purifying. But of course, I should be also taking to Krishna's naam or Krishna's dham or Krishna's devotees in as much offenselessly as possible. If I do it offensively, even the naam also will not give me benefit. The dham also will not give me benefit. So how much offenselessly I do, like Ajamil, all bad things, but naam offenselessly he took, and then he got purified, and then eventually got liberated. So that is the most important thing. So yeah, definitely there is benefit to going to Vrindavan. There's no doubt about it. Otherwise, we are doubting Krishna's potency. If we say that Vrindavan also cannot purify him, we are not having any faith in Vrindavan or Krishna. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. So we have to have that. So definitely purifying. But if he is in offensive mentality, then yeah, the effect is much lesser. Hopefully, in purification and purification, one day they will, you know, they may get purified. Maybe in this life, next life, don't know. We put in situations where we should associate with certain kind of people that also result of our karma. Yeah, of course. Okay, what else? Ayo, this is my brother studying masters from IIT in computer science. So I once talked with him about Srila Prabhupada's books and the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. He threw me some questions like why Krishna did Ras Leela or Bastra Haran. I said that those are Leela, but he wants more explanation. Okay, so you should explain. Ask him to read the Krishna book. If you can't explain, you ask him to read the Krishna book. He will have all the answers. That chapter, no, you ask him to read that. Prabhupada explained very nicely. Bhagavatam is explained very nicely. In fact, Parishit also asked the same question. How come he did Vasraharan and Krishna, Raslila and all these things? Sukadeva Goswami answers that in the 10th canto, 33rd chapter, 29th verse, all the way to 39, like that. 10, 33, 29 to 39. You can read all those verses and you can see how, um, what is the answer. Of course, I can explain, but it's very late today. So you go and read this material. Hmm? I can just point out to you. And Krishna book is there. So you should also become convinced. Not that okay, I gave him the Krishna book, let him read. You are not convinced. You see, you don't know how to answer. You should know how to answer this. So of course I can answer it now, but as I said, time is really not on our side now. So you go and read. So you will also know how to answer. And then he can also know. Give him the book, ask him to read. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji, for speaking the truth very boldly and helping us to get even more serious in serving the orders of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. I am speaking this so that I can inculcate some of what I am speaking. Here an old Mataji, she coming to temple only because she don't like daughter-in-law. That is also Krishna's mercy, making it as a reason to engage in his service. So yeah, good. So, anything that can get us detached from family affection, that is good. That's why Kunti Devi also, she prays that Sneha Pasham Chindi, Imam Chindi, Dridham Pandushu Vrishnishu. So she also prays like that. Please cut off my affection for both my husband's family and my father's family, and please just engage me in your service, and let me be engaged in only thinking of you, Krishna. 101% correct. I am also finding difficult to find Krishna consciousness wife. Try to become brahmachari if you can. If you cannot, yeah, you go and get married. Krishna conscious wife. And even if you get, I'm telling you, even if you get a Krishna conscious wife, it's not going to be rosy. It's going to be another level of challenge. So don't ever think that it's going to be oh, I get a Krishna conscious wife. And recently, one man, he was saying he was just going to get married, and he said, yeah, my wife is, she's becoming devotee. So I hope after she comes, I can come more often, and I can come in the morning and all of that. And if she will, my life will become more stable. I said, Prabhu, your life is about to become unstable. So please get ready for some turbulence. Okay. Weather forecast doesn't look very good. I told him. So there's some turbulence coming. So don't ever think that the woman will make it all nice and you have to make the woman. You have to train the woman. The woman will bring agitation. Hmm. The man must be the guru for the wife and stabilize her. You should be the stabilizing factor, not the wife stabilizing factor for you. Okay. Um, so understand. This is, and be very frank, they have huge ego. Where I saw my grandmother, they had no such ego. Yeah, but I saw my grandmother, she had ego like anything. But still, I mean, even though all of that, but stuck with the marriage. I mean, no way that thinking of divorce was out of the question. I completely out of the question. Women have their ways, but but you know, at least their divorce was not even in the radar. But now they think that, oh, if I'm so submissive and I don't have education, I just have to surrender to the man, that then he will abuse me. Actually, women don't understand male psychology because they think that man will be like the woman. If a woman has that much control that a man has no job and everything and she's only working, she will be like that to the man. She will be like that to the man. They think the man also will be like that to the man. No, it's completely opposite. If the woman is not independent, the man will be more affectionate to the woman. The vast majority. I mean, if there are some bad, there are always some bad actors, outliers of, this thing. But majority, the man will want to take care of the woman if she is submissive. The submissiveness is the way in which she controls the man. If she wants to control the man by becoming bossy over the man doesn't like it, and he will, But if she becomes submissive, then he actually comes under the control of the woman. In that, because she's submissive, he will even want to take care of her even more. He will not be abusive, but they think the opposite way. So Bhishma had heard that Gandhari had received a boon from Shiva, who had said that she would have 100 sons. Surely she would make a good wife for Dhritarashtra, who had also been blessed in a similar way. Okay, so that's how it happened, huh? That's interesting. So Bhishma was the one. Bhishma, the word Bhishma means horrible, because he took a horrible, so-called horrible vow of Naishtika Brahmacharya. For his father, it was horrible, and he made arrangement for Gandhari um, and her husband. So that was also kind of horrible result. Not because of Bhishma, but that's how Krishna wanted his pastimes to come out, to manifest. How do we know what one's duty is? Okay. So in Kali Yuga, the duty is Jare Dekha Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh. Amar Agnya Guru Haya Taro Edesh. That's it. Whomever you meet, whomever you see, preach Krishna consciousness. That's it. That's our duty. So learn Krishna consciousness, preach. Everything else will settle, will set itself right if this is followed. If we do our duty, will Krishna reciprocate from others' hearts? Is it mean so, Prabhu? Yeah, I mean, Krishna will reciprocate, of course, from others' hearts. Like that Haridas Thakur, he was sitting in the cave, there is a snake. But the snake did not bite him. Everybody asked him to go out of the cave, but he was not very concerned. And then the Paramatma in the heart of the snake, said, you know, the snake itself went out of this cave in the front of everyone. So, how? Because the Paramatma dictated to the snake that don't disturb the sadhu. In its own way. I mean, it may not have understood that here is a sadhu and I will not. But it's just that somehow he was inspired to go away from here. Either way, however it is, Krishna did his thing. These questions are not ending at all. How women can guide husband? Already women's false ego is high. Is it artificially women guide husband? No, sometimes it so happens that a woman is Krishna conscious but the husband is not. So the way a woman can guide a husband if he is not Krishna conscious is by submissiveness. So by becoming a nice devotee and always cooking nice prasadam and everything and becoming and doing all her Krishna conscious rituals and everything, chanting Mangalarti and everything. So in that way, and taking good care of the husband, and you know, and whenever there is an opportunity, she can share her, you know, realizations, and she can share what she read. Yeah, I read something very interesting, something like that. Or take them to the temple. Today is Janmashtami, today is Ram Navami. Let's go to the temple. And maybe some Prabhuji will speak to the husband, and maybe he'll take a book, and maybe that's how he'll become a devotee. So there have to be ways. There are ways and means that a woman can also guide a man if he's not if he's not a devotee. She can guide him. But if she tries to become that, if she tries to take on the role where like, hey, listen to what I say, that kind of thing won't work, with a man. So even a man also, if he wants to make a woman Krishna conscious, then it's not that listen to what I say. Sometimes he may have to do that, but effective way is to actually he has to make her a devotee. That's why if there is a chance that before marriage this can be sorted out, then if the man should be very clear or the woman should be very clear that I want a Krishna consciousness thing. How are you if I am like this? That kind of thing. And also astrologically they have to be checked if it's compatible in all of that. So we should do our best to change the other person. But if it ends up after all trials and this thing, if it ends up it's still not working, then one should just do one's own bhakti in the house, especially for women at least, because she can't take sannyas and all that. Be in the house and okay, husband is like that, but I have to follow. So in that way, one has to continue. There's no two ways about it. And yeah, there will be some friction. Yes, when you go out, he may want to go out and you can't. Like, you are not interested in watching a movie or you're not like. So there will be some this kind of stuff. So those will also make that man rethink. Maybe he will go on a movie alone or what. So whatever. I mean, it may take time to tame a wild horse. Either way, sometimes woman not devotee, sometimes man not devotee. Either way, it'll take time to tame a wild horse. Prahlad Prabhu is very inspiring. Managing is wonderful and engaging everybody in different services. Here have the fire which you said. Once Prabhupada said, man's psychology if always is if woman is submissive and supportive, he will then take charge. Absolutely. That's exactly how man thinks. But women, they don't understand this. They don't understand how men think. They always think that if I, give up everything and become submissive, then then he will be just like, he'll take a full advantage that I have no independence and I will just abuse me. This is very, very wrong on the woman's part to think like that. It is not like that actually. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's mentioned that Ekale Krishna Baki Shabhritya. Ekale Ishwar Krishna. Does it mean that Lord Shiva, Mata Shakti are completely inferior to Krishna, the Godhead? Kindly answer. Of course. What do you mean? Of course. Durga is a maid servant of Krishna. Lord Shiva is his servant, is his devotee. Everybody, there's nobody equal to Krishna. All of the demigods are all completely inferior to Krishna. Have you consulted manuscripts of Srimad Padma Puranam in prepare for our debate? I am not interested in your debate. Yeah, you come up with always some weird agenda. I'm not interested in your debate, first of all. Okay, okay, you will start your thing now. If a Brahman is reliant on one organization, then he will be subservient to party policy. Okay, this is going somewhere else. So we'll end it here. Um, जय श्री श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय, सची माता की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्णा. And let me tell you, if a Brahmana does not have a guru, if he has a guru, he must subscribe to the philosophy. And if he doesn't have a guru, if he thinks that, okay, I want to be more open and more, I don't want to be any party policy and all that, then he becomes a stupid fellow. We want to be in Krishna's party, we want to be in the Guru's party, Vaishnava Guru. Arjuna wanted to be that, I don't want to be any party, I don't want to fight. Krishna said, you have to fight on my side. So we will be always party spirit. We will have party policy. We will be on Krishna's party, Prabhupada's party, and Pure Devotee Sampradaya party, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya party. So we will stick to that. We do subscribe to party policy. Okay, Krishna also subscribes. So we are being a part and parcel. We should also subscribe. All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.